Hey guys, Alf here. We're gonna watch a video together. I hope you guys enjoy it. Do I sound alright, guys? I don't know. My OBS is acting up. I don't know if you guys can, if everything's going through all right. It like crashed on me like 100 times, and then it didn't want to let me input the stream key. It kept crashing when I was trying to, so I didn't know what was going on. I give it a couple minutes maybe for some people to pop up. See you guys in the chat. What's up, Grant? Rob? Let me explain what happened really quick. If you guys don't know who Hypocrite is, his name's LP. He does makes videos about feminism and seems to be obsessed with female behavior for some odd reason. But he had David Silverman on with his co-host Annika. What's up, Marino? But in the process, the first it's like an hour and a half video. We're not going to go through the whole thing, obviously, but yeah, it starts off talking about the rape accusations on David Silverman. He's going around doing his rounds on streams, trying to clear his name, let people know that he done do nothing, which is true. I mean, he's got a lot of evidence that he didn't do anything, but we're not going to go into that. You can look into it yourself and find his videos, or if you want to watch the stream, he explains it on the stream. But what I wanted to watch is a very funny interaction that happens towards the end in like the last 20-30 minutes, where they start talking about the rapper T.I., who came out on Twitter and said that he was getting his daughter's hymen checked at a gynecologist to make sure that it was still intact, basically to make sure that his daughter was still a virgin, which is hilarious, but also really weird. Let me see. But yeah, so they got into a little argument because, at least from my perspective, Hypocrite's views on this are very incel-ish, if I could say that. I don't know. It's very odd. What's up, Tony, Carter, Tiffany, Jamie? Thanks for coming, guys. So, yeah, let me start this. Let's start watching this and see what he says. Oh my god, I laughed so hard at this last night. And David Silverman fucking wrecked him. It was great. Boop. There it is. Let's play this. You can see the chat on the side. Oh my god, does this guy have such idiots in his chat? But, that doesn't really mean much. Everybody's got idiots in their chat, I guess. Let me see the chat in here. Okay. You guys ready? Let's watch this. Let's watch a little bit of this. Turn up the volume.
One story I wanted to share with you guys, because I shared this on my Twitter and my Facebook, and I got a lot of backlash for my position on this. A lot of really angry people. Someone even called me an incel. An incel.
First off, it's funny because I said I forgot that part of the stream, but it's funny because, yeah, I just said he had incelish behavior. That's funny. Oh, let me move this so you guys don't see that when I... Trevor, you don't need to see my streaming page. But yeah, it's funny. And then you hear him, he's like, me, an incel? And it's like, I'm not saying he is, but his viewpoint is very incel-ish. He's for one, he's totally obsessed with female behavior. Like, who cares? Women could be whoever the fuck they want. Why is that any of your business? It's so weird. And then on top of that, he holds a very like old school, like rigid view of it, almost religious view of it. And it's like, yeah, that is kind of how incels view shit. Like, they don't get laid, so they want women to act a certain way, so they get laid, basically. Also, if anybody wants to join me in the AIU Discord, I'm in the live streaming. Just let me know. You can go in the main chat, and I can pull you in. All right. Oh, Billy contacted me. Hold on, let me see what Billy said. Juice, yeah. Okay, so yeah, but that's funny, right? How he's like, me, an incel? And it's like, well, you're kind of outputting that. Maybe you're not one, but why would you constantly output that kind of behavior and then say you're not one? It's weird. And then be surprised that people said that about you.
And so this is a story you may or may not have heard this week, but it's this rapper T.I. who went on an interview and shared that he checks his daughter's hymen to make sure that she's still
annually
a virgin.
to her gynecologist.
Yeah.
Takes her to the doctor annually to get her hymen checked.
Wow, there's a lot of difference there.
Now, can I give my quick opinion? It's not so much he takes her to the doctor every year. It's that he blasted out on social media that he gets her hymen checked. That to me is disgusting. I know a lady who got her daughter the HPV shot when she was like 11 years old. Didn't want to tell her daughter that she got her the HPV shot because she doesn't want her daughter to know what HPV is. But she herself became pregnant at an early age. I think she was 16 when she got pregnant with her daughter. And she didn't want her daughter to have sex that young, but more than anything, she doesn't want her to catch HPV if she does. So I think that parents should be in charge of their children's body.
So that's what she's talking about is a completely different thing. Like, you know, giving your kid a shot so she doesn't get HPV that could lead to her getting cancer later on is a completely different thing from checking your daughter's hymen to see if she's still a virgin up until she's 18. And first off, the worst thing I see about that is the best way to get your daughter to fucking hate you. That is the best way to get your daughter to, the second she gets away from you, go bang a bunch of dudes. You know what I'm saying? Because now she's finally away from you and she can do whatever the fuck she wants and she's going to make up for all the lost time she had. It's just a terrible idea. It's ridiculous. T.I. is a ridiculous person to do something like that. As you can see, David Silverman already, like when they first read it to him, he put his hand over his head like, oh my God, this is a crazy story, you know?
If he wants to take her to the doctor and make sure that she's okay, that's one thing. Telling everybody on social media that he gets her hymen checked is disgusting.
How old is this child?
Well, now she's 18. But she was underage.
She turned 18 recently, but he's been doing it since she was 16.
Look at the indoctrination there. Look at the possession. Look at the ownership. Look at the lack of autonomy, and look at the.
Unless that's your thing. If that's your kink, then I'm just kidding.
But I totally agree with David Silverman there. It's also a thing of trust. Like you're basically showing your daughter you have zero trust in her, like absolutely no trust in your child, and that's gonna lead to an unhealthy relationship, right? Because you're just going to always think, well, my dad doesn't trust me, you know, forever. That's going to be the way you think all the time for everything. But it's right. It's a lack of autonomy too. Like you just don't have any trust in your daughter. You can't just talk to her and tell her, you know, educate her and be like, hey, if you're going to have sex, you know, you got to be responsible, you know, this and that. And then, you know, have some trust in her. But he, you know, obviously T.I. has zero trust in his daughter.
But look at the attitude.
Dave still can't come down. Come on, Dave.
It's hard.
Smoke a little. I won't tease you anymore about that other thing. I'll leave that topic alone. I'm sorry.
I mean, this is my passion, right? This is something that I take very seriously.
I understand. So really quickly,
if you look at this.
Another interesting thing I like to say about this is, what was T.I. gonna do if he went to the doctor and the doctor said, her hymen's broken? What was he gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's gonna happen there? He's not gonna do shit. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna be pissed for a little while and then he'll get over it. It's not that big of a deal. So she really could have gone. It's not going to restrict her from doing it. She really could have gone and had sex, got her hymen broken, and after he gets it checked, you're not going to put it back. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to pick it up and put it back. It's over. That's it. Time's passed. You're just going to have to deal with it, you know?
If you just look at this from a religious perspective, okay? I don't have to know anything about rapper T.I. to know that he's a Christian or a Muslim, that this is a religious person, that he thinks that sex is dirty, that he thinks sex is evil, and that he thinks that his daughter will be damaged goods if she has sex. And this is pure mechanical shit. This is religious indoctrination that's playing. And so when people say, oh, well, religion doesn't hurt anybody, this is what we're talking about. Can you imagine being 16 and having your father saying, hey, I'm going to have your hymen checked. 17 years old. I'm going to have your hymen checked. What if she has sex?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How crazy is that? Your dad say that to you. Like you said, what if she had sex? What are you going to do then? You can't do anything about it.
First of all, it's an invalid
or what if she masturbates with something that
What if she masturbates?
See, that's what I was thinking is, oh God.
Yeah, women lose their hymen in all types of ways, from like bike riding to like horse riding to masturbation. There's so many ways you could. So even if he did find it, it could still be like, I didn't have sex, and then that makes the situation worse because she's gonna be saying, I haven't had sex, and he's gonna be saying, you did, you know, because he's an idiot and doesn't realize that.
Like, what if she's masturbating? And a lot of girls start masturbating as soon as they hit their 13, whatever the age is that they hit puberty. Yeah. A lot of girls start masturbating.
I'm gonna blow your mind because I'm not religious, and I think I support what he's doing, to be honest.
I love that. He's like, I'm gonna blow your mind. Yeah, obviously you're gonna blow his mind because it's such a dumb position. It makes no sense. So he's saying he's not religious, but he agrees that he was checking his daughter's hymen. What? That's horrible parenting, man. And that's worse coming from a parent. Like, how can you even say that? Insane.
Honest, and I support him.
Do you
making
support
it
him
public.
telling everybody on social media?
Say that this is the best thing that David says. This is why David's really good at this kind of stuff. He just straight up said, why? That's all you need to ask. Why? Why do you support that? You know, but he doesn't have a good answer, but we'll see. We'll go into that.
Yes, I do, because I think we need to take a stand against this postmodern degenerate world that we live in.
Degeneracy. It's like that. Degeneracy should be like one of like Pee-wee's Playhouse and shit, when like the magic word of the day and everybody should cheer every time they hear it or take a shot or something. It's fucking ridiculous. How is having sex degenerate? We're not even talking about doing crazy type sex. We're talking about like a 16-year-old in high school having sex for the first time. How is that degenerate? There's nothing degenerate about that. Most people that age do end up losing their virginity around that time. It's not a degenerate thing, you know. We're not talking about anything past normal sex that people have at that age. Like, what the fuck?
Look, I've been out there.
So, but again, so because this guy checks his daughter's hymen to make sure she's not having sex at 16, 17, that being for that means you're taking a stand against degenerate behavior. Like, how is that taking a stand against it? It's stupid. None of this is degenerate. It's such a ridiculous take.
I've slept with a lot of women, and I've surveyed the women I've slept with as to
Well, imagine taking that as a statistic. Every woman I banged, I surveyed them to find out what you live in a small pocket of the entire world. You can't do a proper survey that way. It's ridiculous.
What age they lose their virginity at. I've always found that interesting, and I
was
tell
in my
you,
20s.
based on you're
Sorry, my Roomba
not
keeps
where
going
the
off.
average is, though. A lot of the girls I've talked to, they lose their virginity when they're 14 years old.
So exactly. Thank you, David. So
most girls, by the time they're out of high school, they've taken multiple dicks. Then they're going to go to college. They're going to take like at least 10 or 20 more dicks. They're going to be completely turned out. They're going to come home depressed and with $100,000 in debt, bombarded with.
You see how this just snowballed into craziness? He went from having sex when you're 16 to going to college, being depressed, and leaving with $100,000 in debt. You don't think virgins go to college and leave college with debt? Like, what are you talking about, dude? And then after that, he says they're going to be indoctrinated with Marxist theories. What does that have to do with them having sex when they're young before they go to college? What does that have to do with it? That's nothing to do with any of that. On top of that, tons of women lose their virginity in college, and they're probably already 18, 19. So what's the difference, you know?
Marxist feminist critical race theory, and this guy says, you know what, I'm going to go to extreme measures to make sure that my daughter stays off the pole, and everybody is saying that he's the weird one, that he's creepy.
Yeah, he is the weird one and he's creepy. That is not normal. LP, I don't know why you think that's normal. That is not normal at all. That is psychotic behavior, and it's going to create a rift between them. That's going to create a terrible relationship between him and his daughter because of that. How do you not realize that? It's also a thing where I've talked about this when I was talking about this stream before, where the girls who were the most promiscuous when I was in high school were the girls who had parents who were the most sexually repressive to them. The ones who didn't want to talk about sex with them, the ones who told them, you got to come home right after school, the ones who'd get pissed the second they saw them talking to a guy, you know, or a boy, really, because you're just kids at that age. But in the end, those were the girls who were the freakiest, you know what I'm saying? Because it was a taboo. Their parents are telling them so much, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, you know, that they want to do it even more. That's all you're creating. You're creating a person who wants to do it even more. I wouldn't doubt that his daughter, the second she gets out of T.I.'s house, is going to go and fuck tons of dudes, because she's been restricted from doing so this whole time. And now that she's liberated from this person who's holding her back from doing that, she's going to want to do it a lot and gain some experience. I mean, basically, for me, like, you know, when you have sex when you're young, that's you gaining experience. You're learning things. You're learning about your body. You're learning about, you know, the opposite sex. You're learning these things. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not degenerate. It's ridiculous. And it's not. And just because you had sex when you're young doesn't mean you're going to go to college and come back in debt and, you know, indoctrinated by Marxist theory and be depressed. That's fucking ridiculous. How does that even happen? How do you even get to that conclusion? Totally ridiculous.
Because they know they don't have what it takes to do it. They don't have what it takes to stop their daughters from being turned out.
So this is his viewpoint. He thinks the only reason people are saying that T.I. is doing anything wrong is because those people don't have the conviction to do the same thing. That's ridiculous. No. The vast majority of people who are saying he did something wrong are saying that because they feel that is wrong. They don't want to do that to their daughters. You want to do that to your daughter, and you don't have the conviction to do it. And that's why you think everyone else thinks that way. But you are unique on this. Maybe not completely unique. He might not be the only one, but of course there's going to be other people who think that way. But yeah, it's a minority for sure.
By age 18.
Hey, are you going to check your daughter's butthole?
No, I'm not. I wouldn't do it. I don't have the strength and conviction that he has. I don't want my daughter to hate me. And I just also.
So how funny is this that he understands the concept that his daughter would hate him if he did this? And it's one of the reasons why he doesn't have the conviction to do it, is because he knows if he did it, his daughter would hate him. How? Like, how does he not come to the logical conclusion that T.I.'s daughter is going to hate him then? And that this is a bad move, that you're losing the trust of your daughter. Like, how ridiculous is that? What a weird lack of self-awareness he's got there. Let me check the chat real quick, see if you guys are saying anything. FGM, blah, blah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Grant says that these people wonder why FGM is a thing in Islam, but it is a thing that's, it seems very religious to just be like, yeah, I'm going to check your hymen and make sure you're not having sex. That seems like a very religious thing. It's strange. And as we'll see later, yeah, very weak. But as we'll see later, LP doesn't have a reason for this. He just doesn't like it. Why doesn't he like it? You know what I'm saying? He can't explain it. David Silverman asks him multiple times. He just doesn't know why. And it's a weird thing to have such a strong conviction for something, to say we need to take a stand against this, but not be able to explain why. You'd think that if you had such a strong conviction against something, that you would have thought it over so many times that the second someone asks you, you'll have a response for them. But he doesn't.
You know, I can't do it. But I think it's okay for him to do it.
I can't do it, but I think it's okay for him to do it. Oh, God.
I think it's good, in fact.
I think it's good. So he went from it being okay for it being good. It's a good thing that T.I. is doing this. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
As you can look at David's expression, is great.
Strength and conviction that he has. I don't want my daughter to hate me, and I just also, you know, I can't do it. But I think it's okay for him to do it. I think it's good, in fact. Yeah.
I can't tell if you're pulling me or not, because that was just such a ridiculous thing to say. I can't quite tell if you're pulling me. So I'm going to assume.
How fucking hilarious is that? That what LP said was so ridiculous that David Silverman thinks he's joking. He can't take him seriously. He said, I can't tell if you're pulling me. And he said, the thing you said is so ridiculous that I'm just going to assume you are. Because that's it. I agree with him. It is so ridiculous that I would have to assume somebody was joking. The only reason I didn't when I first watched this is because I know LP, and I think that he's someone who is obsessed with this kind of stuff. most of his videos have to do with female behavior. It's something that he focuses on so much, and he's so obsessed about, that I personally feel that he has a weird inadequacy with women. I don't know what it is. I don't know why he would care so much what women are doing in the world. Like, who cares? I don't give a shit what I got women on my block. I don't go out and ask them, like, what are you doing today? I don't watch them from the window and go, oh, look at her behavior. I don't give a shit. They can do whatever the fuck they want. Why would I care what women are doing unless it's somebody who's close to me? You know what I'm saying? Why would I give a shit? Women could act and do whatever they fucking want. I have no fucking thing to say.
You think so? Don't you think that, like, they've done studies on this, scientific studies about how if a woman sleeps with a bunch of guys, it's harder for her to pair bond and have a lasting relationship. So the divorce rates.
Oh, have they? Is that what it is? Is that what those studies say? That because they're sleeping with a bunch of women, they can't get. Well, we'll see the study. He's gonna post it up and we'll break it down.
Higher for
show me the data. Show me the data.
I don't have the studies handy, but it's out there. And I think that I don't know. I just think that it's bad for women to start having sex too early.
Why?
And why?
Why?
I just don't. I don't know.
Because you're indoctrinated. Because you're indoctrinated, even though you're an atheist.
How funny was that? How funny is that he said why? And he said, I just think it is. I don't know. Like, he gave up on it. He had no answer for it. And this is such a ridiculous thing. I feel it's like a trend. We see it all over the internet. There's all these kind of, I'm not saying all conservatives are like this, but there's this conservative trend out there with the, like, young internet guys who anything that has to do with women in any kind of sexual way is degenerate. Instantly. And it's ruining the West, right? We see it from Paul Joseph Watson. We see it from Ian Miles Chong, who I don't even think is conservative, but he says the same shit. And a bunch of other conservative guys. We see it all the time where they're always saying, what was the other one? What was the one? Oh, Paul Joseph Watson posted a video of girls working out at a gym, right? These are grown women working at a gym and having fun with their workout, where they were doing like twerking or something. But they're just working out. They're having fun. They're in a gym. They're not in front of a bunch of kids. They're not, trying to tell people like, oh, this is proper behavior. No, they're just having fun at a gym. And Paul Joseph Watson comes out and says, this is why the terrorists hate us. Like, you're retarded, dude. Like, good. To me, I say good. I hope the terrorists hate us for this, because we're free to do this and have fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's wrong with a bunch of women having fun? What's wrong with that? Absolutely nothing. There's nothing degenerate about it. But it's a weird trend that's going on the internet. For me, I think LP is buying into this trend, but he bought into the trend and has no explanation why. Look at the chat. Here's this idiot, Paul Zook. David, you're a moron. He's a moron for asking LP why he thinks that way, and LP can't answer it. Who's the moron in that case? Is it David that's the moron? It's LP, because he has a very strong conviction on an ideal that he can't explain why he has that ideal. He can't explain it. Why can't he explain it? Because he hasn't even thought about it. It's an emotional reaction. He is I'm just making a guess here. I could be totally wrong, but he is inadequate with women sexually. Maybe he's not sexually inadequate, but I'm saying he's inadequate with women acting sexual, and he's putting that into his ideals and saying women shouldn't be sexual, or women shouldn't be sexual at this age. But when you break it down and ask him, well, why? What is the reason why you think women shouldn't be sexual? What's wrong with that behavior? He can't explain it. And there's a good reason why he can't explain it, because he hasn't thought about this enough. It's an emotional reaction. Sorry about the cough, guys. I'm a bit congested. Let me continue.
Yes, you're indoctrinated into the Christian puritanical bullshit, and you've jettisoned the indoctrination, and you think, okay, well, I'm not believing God, so I'm not religious, but you're still stuck. This muck is still stuck in your brain. If you're telling me the truth right now, if you're completely being on the level, and you're actually saying that if you have sex young, you're going to leave college with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Everybody leaves college with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt.
Yeah.
Everybody leaves college in debt. Why does it have to do with you having sex? Let's see. Let more people on the chat. Oh shit! It crashed. Well, I could just reload it. Go back to the same place. Oh my god! Why does it keep crashing? What did you guys do to me?
I do have one
hacked.
story I wanted to share with you guys because
I'm being hacked. The incels have come to take down my stream.
It's indoctrination that's playing.
that interesting, and I
I
can
was in
tell
my
you
20s.
based on you're
Indoctrinated into the Christian puritanical bullshit, and you've jettisoned the.
That's exactly what it is. It's puritanical bullshit. And we've seen this before. I've seen this before with people I've known who are deeply religious and then become atheists. They get rid of their belief in God, but they keep some of those traditions and they can't get rid of them. And without the belief in God, some of those traditions make zero sense and they can't justify why they keep those traditions, but they do. And yeah, a lot of it could be just conditioning and brainwashing, and you just can't get rid of some of those things. Really, what's, on top of that, 18 is such an arbitrary number. What's wrong with a 16-year-old having sex for the first time with another 16-year-old? There's nothing wrong with that. Tons of people lose. I lost my virginity at a young age, but maybe too young. But I mean, everybody's ready when they're ready, and everybody's ready at different times. People sexually mature at different times. People hit puberty at different times. People don't even hit puberty at the same time. So saying that people shouldn't have sex before they're 18, you're putting an arbitrary number. People should have sex when they're ready to, when they feel it's the time to do that, and they have an emotional connection with somebody. Then that's when they should do it. What's up, RB? My buddy's here. Nice. All right, let's keep going. But Dave's 100%.
The indoctrination, and you think, okay, well, I'm not believing God, so I'm not religious, but you're still stuck. This muck is still stuck in your brain. If you're telling me the truth right now, if you're completely being on,
he's still not even totally sure the LP is not joking. He's like, this is so ridiculous, and I think this got to be a joke, right? This guy, I agree with LP on this. Yeah, right. Oh, another one. I'm with LP. I didn't get laid till I was over 18, so nobody else should.
The level, and you're actually saying that if you have sex young, you're going to leave college with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Everybody leaves college with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt.
Yeah, but men get useful degrees, women don't.
And you have
this is where this argument's already been moved. The goalpost's already been moved because LP took his idea to such a ridiculous level, to adding it to going to college and getting degrees and shit, that he's now saying, Dave's saying, yeah, everybody leaves in debt. Everybody goes to college, they get their degrees, and they leave college in debt. And he's saying, yeah, but women get useless degrees and men get useful degrees. What does that have to do with them having sex? That has nothing to do with it at all. It's so weird to take it to that level. Let's look at more people in this chat. Look at this guy. This ridiculous person's name is Anal Centipede. And he's trying to say that the answer to why you would think that is because of history, Dave. What? What the fuck are you talking about? Because of history? What about history? Bullshit. This guy, my daughter is 12. Yeah, your daughter's 12. Obviously, you don't want your daughter to have sex at 12, obviously. That's not what they're talking about. They should be married early. Yeah, because that always works. Yeah, high school sweethearts, that always works. I mean, it does sometimes, but yeah. What I would love to see what the percentage of high school sweethearts getting married, how much that works. Billy Blogs, good answer. No, there is evidence. Oh, bad answer. No, what evidence? I'd love to see that evidence.
But we're supposed to have babies, remember?
Okay, you're okay. You're.
I'm kidding, Dave. Dave.
Yeah, you're both kidding. Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I'm surprised LP. So he and I don't agree on everything, and that's one of the reasons I like talking to him.
Every year that goes by, I get like 300% more conservative than I was the year before at this point.
That's so ridiculous. So he's getting older, and his entire viewpoint is changing every year, and obviously he just put out an arbitrary number, but it's a ridiculous thing to say. Every year I'm getting 300% more conservative. I hope he realizes that that means in like a year or two he's going to be a complete fascist. You know what I'm saying? Like go and be so far right that he surpasses everybody on the right. Like it doesn't make any sense. Let me read what you guys are saying. I'm sorry. Ba, 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 ba. None of those dudes in the chat are having sex, none at all, and somehow women are to blame. Yeah, I agree with that. That's the thing. That's what it is. It's because that's what they want, and they're not finding women who want the same things they want, so they want women to change. Instead of being like, wait, maybe what I want and my expectations of women are so strict, they're so picky that that I've just dropped my pool of candidates for relationships, that now it's almost impossible for me to find someone to get into a relationship with. Instead of saying, shit, I need to open up my pool and find and make a bigger list of women that I can start a relationship with, they want the women to change. No, all women should start living by this standard so that I can date them. Like that makes zero sense. Yeah, so at this point, people start turning on Dave in his chat, right? Dave has zinc infusions. Yeah, this guy who said, my daughter's 12 and I be damned. Yeah, obviously you don't want your 12-year-old daughter. Nobody's saying that you should want your kids to have sex. That's not what the argument is. The argument is that it's perfectly natural for them to do so. And in fact, most people do have sex in high school. That's usually when people lose their virginity. This is so outside Dave's normal conversation topics. He can't handle it. No, Dave is handling himself fantastically. This guy is off. Dave is handling himself very well. It's LP who's losing it. LP has no response for why he's claiming the things he's claiming. This guy does not understand how arguments work. Let's see what Anal Centipede has to say. Such a cool name. The thing about marriage has nothing to with religion, to be honest. Yeah. And initially it probably does. But who cares? You don't need to be married to stay together. We know this. How do we know this? Because the rate of divorce in the US is horrific. It's fucking high as fuck. So what does that tell you? That tells you marriage means shit. People aren't staying together because they're married. That's not what keeps people together, because they can easily just go get divorced. And it's what they've been doing for decades. He is so confusing, two things. I hope he's talking about LP, because that's what it seems like. It seems like LP's saying women shouldn't have sex when they're young, but then he's taken it to a different argument. Like he's trying to add these things that have nothing to do with women having sex when they're young and using those as justification as why he thinks women shouldn't have sex when they're young. It doesn't make any sense. Those things are not mutually exclusive. Those are not justifications for his ideals. GNs aren't even moral compared to other religions. I don't know what that means. Yeah, no such thing as girls being damaged goods. Yeah, there is no such thing. I mean, if you think they are, then you just have a really high standard and you're gonna, can you imagine being one of these guys? This is why we have these fucking guys who aren't getting laid, because they're like, oh, I'm not gonna get with a chick unless I find a virgin chick that's gonna cook and clean my house, gonna keep her mouth shut when they need to, and this and that. And it's like, well, good luck. Good luck with that. You're not gonna find that. Maybe you could be a decent human being and just want to be in a relationship with another decent human being, as opposed to putting all these standards on someone that really has nothing to do with their personality or how well you're going to get along. You should be with somebody because you connect and you have an emotional connection to each other. That's the reason why you should be with somebody, not because they fit your rigid little standards of what a female should be, It's ridiculous.
I'm the same as I've always been. You guys are just changing the definitions of liberal and conservative.
Well, I think your opinions, all opinions, should be driven by data. So if you think that sex before marriage impacts a girl's life, I strongly suggest
God,
Google that shit.
Yeah, I love it. I love Dave. I love how Dave went at him hard. He's like, we need data. If you have data for this, show me that shit. Like straight up, he told that. Show me that shit. Yeah, somebody said, I'm loving this. I'm loving it too. Ask him what age is too young to start having sex. That's irrelevant to the conversation. That's not what they're talking about. He cares about, here's Paul Zook again with his fucking genius input. He cares about the future of his daughter, ergo his heritage. That has nothing to do with shit. Jews don't like when goys do that. You know, here's anti-Semitism, of course, from Paul Zook, the dude that I had issues with, which I am not surprised at all that he's going to pull out some fucking anti-Semitic bullshit. I'm sure he's also fucking racist. Actually, I'm pretty sure he did say a bunch of racist shit when he used to come into the Discord, and played it off as jokes, but I'm sure he really thinks about it. I mean, look at his comment here. He cares about the future of his daughter, ergo his heritage. What the fuck does that even mean? Jews don't like when goys do that. What does that have to do with anything? Fucking retard. Fluff says, he saw the data, Dave. Why are you bringing religion into this? He said he is an atheist. Because that concept that LP is using, Fluff, I know you come into AIU Discord too, Fluff, is archaic. It's old. It's part of a religion. That's religious people think that way. And again, I haven't seen one person in this chat give a good reason why this is true, why people should follow this. Nobody has given a good reason. If you're not going to give good reasons, we're going to compare it to religion then. You don't have anything else. You have no reason to say why this is a good idea.
Pull it up.
Give
me a second.
Have a whole other show about whether or not women can have sex and still have good lives.
I believe they can.
Yeah, exactly. People can have tons of sex, get married, and still have good lives. Happens all the time. It's ridiculous to say it doesn't. It's ridiculous to say that women go to high school, have sex, go to college, have sex, and then they're going to come out and be depressed and be in debt and not be able to get into a relationship. Bullshit. Happens all the time. You have nothing to say that opposite of that. Let's see. Popcorn Power says, Silverman heard that Hypocrite has data, but Silverman won't ever look it up, nor is he willing to change his mind if the data is correct. You didn't even give him a chance, but the data is not correct. Secondly, if you make a claim, it's on you to provide the data. It's not up to the person you're claiming it to go out of their way and look up data. You know what I'm saying? It's up, if you're going to come to me and tell me, hey, unicorns exist, you have to show me that proof. I'm not going to sit here and study and look up every incident of people citing unicorns to see if it's true. Fuck that. You're making this claim. You say it. You provide the data. If I make a claim, I'm going to provide you data. If I can't, then I'm going to accept that you can't accept my claim. I would 100% accept that if I can't give you data.
I myself was not ready to have sex until I was in my 20s. It was me. I was really busy though with other stuff. And
I'm going to read more of this chat because the chat is even more entertaining, to be honest. Paul Duffy, I don't want my daughter having sex when she's young, but I definitely wouldn't take her to the doctor to get checked. That's just strange. Reasonable comment. Nobody wants their daughter having sex when they're young. Understood. You want your kids to be responsible. You want your kids to hold out. We all know young people make rash decisions. Young people feel like things are forever, and you're going to meet a person and you have an emotional connection to them, and when you're young you feel like this is forever, I love this person, be with them forever, we're gonna have sex because I know this is the one. You know what I'm saying? We all know, we've all been through that, we all understand that. That's not really what the argument is. The argument isn't whether you want your kids to have sex or not. The argument is whether we should make it or say that it's wrong for children, I keep saying children because 16-year-old's kind of a child, but I think 16-year-old is old enough. I mean, in some states, 16 is the age of legal consent. In my state, it is. You know, when I was having sex when I was 16, I knew plenty of people who were. But and to me, at least in my area, I think 16 is the normal age of when people start losing their virginity. Obviously, not everybody does, but some people younger, most maybe a lot more older. But I think 16 is probably the average. But yeah, it's not about whether you want it or not. It's whether it's wrong, whether let's go back to the initial thing LP said, and this is what it is. It's whether or not that we should take a stand on this degenerate behavior. That this is where he's coming from. Again, he never explained why it's degenerate, but in the end, that's the problem with LP's argument from the beginning, is that he's viewing 16-year-olds having sex as degenerate behavior, can't explain why it is. And that's what the argument should be. But of course, it got blown out of proportion because LP instantly went to the whole college thing, which, totally railroaded the conversation out because it's so ridiculous. Those things aren't even connected. Let me read some of my chat some more. Jesus Christ, there are people saying repeal the 19th because they can't handle encounter women. The only thing Paul Zook is fucking is the empty pistol grip of his 9mm. Yeah, fucking gun nut. Billy again. Who cares about heritage? I don't. It's true. It's ridiculous how much these people obsess over these things. I really don't care about heritage. That doesn't matter to me. It's cool. I mean, I could enjoy it. I can talk about my heritage and stuff like that. I mean, I'm Peruvian, and I do find my Incan ancestry to be interesting, but it's not something that I want to preserve. It's not something that I'm like, I need to find another Incan to have sex with so I could preserve my blood and we could be more Incan. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm gonna, if I have children, I get married, it's gonna be with somebody I have an emotional connection to, and it's not gonna matter to me what their heritage is. It's not gonna matter what skin color they have, what race they are, what country they were born in, what language they speak. It doesn't matter. Those things are irrelevant and stupid to even be picky about those kind of things. Tony said Paul Zook gonna have a Richard Spencer-esque meltdown. Yeah, he's almost there already. This bullshit is rooted in religion, correct? Because they're pussies. You can't get pussy for sure. For fuck's sake, says a guy named Popcorn Power. Yeah, seriously. Google it, bro. Yeah, it's so stupid, right? You make a claim and the other person has to Google it. And then already giving him the thing of, oh, well, you're not going to change your mind. Well, how do you know? I mean, show him real good data and he might. This is so cringy. I agreed, man. It's such a cringy conversation. I feel bad for David being thrown into this conversation out of nowhere because he really came on the show to talk about the allegations against him and clearing his name. And now he's got to debate this retarded topic. It's so dumb and antiquated. This is like a conversation you would have had 200 years ago. Like, what the fuck? Anyways, the plus side to these incels is eventually their weak genes will get weeded out. Yeah, sure. I cringe. Yeah, that's a good one, Rob. Tell you what, when I was listening, Richard Spencer having his meltdown, he sounds like a spazzy entitled. Yeah, he does. He totally sounds like a spoiled kid. I'm sure Dave had a few drinks after this one. Yeah, I'm sure he probably sat down, had dinner, had to unwind and get it out of him. Like, please, I don't want to think about this anymore. Well, I took some B-loads. They obsess over heritage because they have nothing to be proud of their own, so they ride the coattails of something they don't have a choice in. Great point, Grant. 100%. It's kind of like we talk about people who latch on to certain things because they don't have a personality of their own, so they latch on to a certain personality they've seen someone else have, and they use that themselves. Or, yeah, you're right, 100%. Like, they latch on to their heritage, they latch on to being white, they latch on to, oh, I'm proud of being, Russian or something like that, because they have nothing else in their lives. I don't latch on to the things in my heritage. I have tons of things I do. I make videos, I play music, I laugh with people and stuff like that. I don't need those things, but I don't know if I'm the kind of person, because I've always been that way. I don't know if I'm the kind of person who would latch on to stuff because of that, Who knows? Maybe I would be totally like, Incas are the best if I didn't have all these other things that I did and I could, bide my time with. These guys have nothing. They're people of no substance, and they need to fill that up with something they have no control over, just the way they were born, so that they can use that as saying, like, look, I have substance, I have things I could talk about, look at me, I'm interesting because I'm, I'm Viking or, Russian or whatever it may be, If you have sex, Renaissance buildings will crumble. Marino, yeah. So Notre Dame burning was my fault. Yeah, Grant, how dare you have sex? It's your fault Notre Dame fell. Getting a flashback to when Paul Joseph Watson lost his mind over. Oh, I was just talking about that earlier, Tony. At the beginning of the stream, I was talking about that. I was talking about how it's a weird conservative trend going on now with the younger dudes, where anything that is even mildly sexual about a woman is instantly degenerate. And there's there's no reason. I would love to hear why, but none of them ever give a reason why it's degenerate. They just say it is. Synth, what's up, Synth? David, you're a degenerate. Oh, yeah, that's in the chat. Paul Zook again with this great fucking comment. David, you're a degenerate. What? How? Prove it. Prove that he's a degenerate. Maybe he is, but even still, I don't have a problem with people being degenerate. If they want to do degenerate things, as long as they're not hurting anybody, who gives a shit? Who cares what people are doing in the privacy of their own home? That is one of the things that I find very strange about conservatives. They tend to really care about what people are doing in their bedrooms. Why? I would love to know why. They never have an answer to why. Who cares if there's two dudes bumming each other in their fucking bedroom? Who cares? What does that have to do with anybody but them two, you know? They're both consensual. Nobody's getting hurt, or at least not hurt in a way they don't like. But yeah, but you know, they could do whatever they want. That has not. We live in a free country. That's kind of the point, you know, is that you're free to do these things. As long as you're not taking away other people's freedoms, who cares? What else? People do things I don't like. Degenerates. Yeah, that's basically what it is. Consensual degeneracy. Sure. Why not? Right? Why not? Give a good reason. I haven't heard one good reason why not. Let's see. Anal centipede again. My favorite person. Earlier civilizations, aristocrats and people in power had plenty concubines. Okay. What does that mean? Was that an argument? Like, what's that to? Okay.
I learned how to use my body from a young age, so I was perfectly content on my own. LP.
Okay, I got a graph.
Are you
here.
pulling up some numbers? Okay,
I
will say that.
Look at the smile on his face. Such an awkward dude. It's great.
Waiting longer, if that's so, everybody has a different sexual personality. I've actually talked about this on my own channel in the past and with Monday. That different people are completely different. I think do you know anything about the Satanic Church, Anton LaVey? One of the things they talk about is that if you're like I have the Satanic Bible over there, I can actually make a reference to it. But if you are a like sex fiend and you love having sex, then it probably isn't in your best interest to try to not have sex unless you're doing like a dopamine fast.
There it is too. I mean, Annika's bringing up a good point here. Different people have different how do you call it, like sexual drives, different libidos, different hormone outputs and stuff like that. She's right. If you're a sexually driven person and you enjoy sex a lot, it's probably bad. This is like kind of like with the no fap movement, right? Like, you guys aren't busting nuts. Like, you realize busting your nut is a stress reliever. And when you don't bust your nut, your stress levels rise, right? Because you're retaining all this fucking thing that your body naturally wants to expulge. You know, you naturally want to get rid of that stuff. We're built to, like, men are built to shoot their loads. That's what we're for. We're built to shoot our loads in women and get them pregnant. Whether we're actually shooting our load into a woman and getting pregnant or not, our bodies don't know that. They just want to get rid of that. That's how the mechanism works. It's just like, hey, I got a sack full of this liquid. I need to shoot it out. Whether you're going to put it in a woman or in a sock, I don't give a shit. Just get it out. And it's retarded to not do that. So now, if you're a sexually driven person, you have high sexual drive, you're a person who needs to get that out. Or if not, your anxiety levels goes up, your stress level goes up. That's only natural. It only makes sense. Let's see what you guys are saying. They care about dick and ass more than gay couples do. Now they're onto this. Yeah, agreed. They care more about what people are doing in their bedrooms than the people doing it in their bedrooms. LP can't stand women thinking for themselves. Poor Dave having to deal with this. Yeah, it's so sad. I feel bad for him. Totally off topic, but Annika's a deaf. The man is the executive director for AAI, and he has to sit through it. I know, man. This fucking... Oh, it's so ridiculous. Ropes. November equals stress month. Yeah, it's so... November. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. That's retarded. All you're doing is making yourself fucking stressed out. And I have no doubt that some of these people who go out and shoot people up are people who have not been busting nuts. Or people who have not had sex. They're driven crazy by this, especially young dudes, young guys. Listen, you naturally have your hormones going crazy right now. You need to bust nuts. That's what your hormones want. Your hormones are making you your sexual drive extreme, and you need to bust nuts. It's important. Do it. In fact, if you're not jerking off right now, jerk off right now while you listen to me. Get it out. Alf is a sock guy. Confirmed. No. Kind of. I'll tell you what I am. I'm a t-shirt guy. I'm an old t-shirt guy. It's like, I don't wear this t-shirt anymore. I'm gonna use this. Socks are I don't know. The material's weird, right? I don't know. I wouldn't bust nuts. I know a lot of people do bust nuts in socks, but I find the material weird, and you probably get like all those little fuzzy things on there. I've never tried, but I'm not gonna mess with that. Incels tangled in their own ropes. Yeah, they should be tangled in their own ropes. Like, I don't know. Maybe incels don't even masturbate that much either. I don't know what it is. Elon Musk is a spunk retainer. Yeah. Stupid. But again, Elon Musk is not a young guy. It's totally different for an older guy to do that. Your libido's way down once you pass a certain age. It's a totally different thing. Now, for an old guy whose libido's all the way down, telling young guys like, hey, don't masturbate, retain your semen. Dude, these kids are fucking, hormones are blasting. They're producing semen fucking in insane amounts. They need to get that shit out. They can't just hold on to that shit. Yeah, Synth knows, he said, Ethan. Old t-shirts with salsa stains. Get the fuck out of here. Yours have marinara stains, so don't even play with me. I would be willing to bet mass shooters are not jerking off enough. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I bet they're not. I bet they're trying to hold out for someone, and you know they romanticize these situations, and they're like, oh, you know, I'm saving this nut for the person who's special. I don't know if that's true, but it would be funny. Let's see this guy, Silverman. Get out of here. See, look, here we go again. They're talking about sex, and people have to bring it towards their ethnicities and shit. Get out of here, a degenerate Jew saying Christian principles are wrong. Data says one partner after marriage success rate of marriage is the best. Fucking retard. A Jew telling Christian principles originally come from Jewish principles. Is this guy retarded? Does he not know that? Does he not know why we call it the Judeo-Christian religion? What a fucking retard. Anal centipede, what the fuck is this? And then he puts an arrow to that. Oh, you fucking Jew telling us Christians how we're supposed to... Get the fuck out of here with your stupid shit. You also didn't marry a concubine. I'm not sure what that's a reference to. What if LP is right? Then what, Dave? Are you going to repent or something? Or are you going to deny it in the face of data like a true feminist? In the end, LP is not right. Have you looked at the data? This is the problem, right? We're about to start looking at the data. This is the problem. Here's where LP does the same thing the feminists do that he constantly bitches about. He does the same thing. Remember, there was the wage gap stats. People looked at that and they saw the stats. Oh, women earn less than men. What did the feminists do? They instantly made their own biased conclusion. Instead of saying, wow, this could mean multiple things, we're going to have to look into it and study it more to find out why this is happening. That's not what they did. They looked at the stats and said, oh, these numbers must be misogyny. Instantly. Must be misogyny. Right? Couldn't be anything else, possibly. So this is what LP is doing here. He's going to look at these stats that show the more sexual partners you have in life, the less likely you are to have a successful marriage. Now, for him... he's going to come to the straight up conclusion that's because they're sluts. You know what I'm saying? Because that is his bias. That is his ideals. Women who have sex are degenerate. So his ideals for these stats, his conclusion is instantly going to be, you know, these stats don't show you why they're failing. They're just showing you that there's a correlation between two things. The correlation could lead to multiple conclusions, but his conclusion is if you bang when you're young, you're going to fail in your life. But secondly, just because you can't be in a marriage doesn't mean you're not successful in life. You could be successful in life without marriage. Marriage isn't the end all be all of life. It's ridiculous to think it is. But yeah, well, we're going to get into the stats soon. Anal centipede. I'm not a rich person in power. Duh. Yeah, that's what you would need to be to have sex because you're a fucking incel loser. That's why you don't have concubines. It's not because you're not a rich person in power. It's because you would have to be a rich person in power to get ass. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Anything good here? Fluff, you fuck. Nothing was shown. Yeah, I mean, we'll see the stats. They're pretty bad. Go find a chick. Yeah, they had their own conclusion before they looked at the data. Exactly. That's what it is. It's just like religious apologetics, right? Or like flat earthers, or people who say God exists. There's evidence. It's because they're looking. They say God exists, and then they look for the evidence. It isn't, well, God could exist or could not exist. Let's look at the evidence and see where that leads us. These people are coming in saying women having sex is degenerate. Let's look for evidence of that, you know? Correlation equals confirmation bias. Perfect. I'm seeing that a lot with these people. Yeah, I do too. I see it all the time.
But if you are asexual, you shouldn't go out and have sex with a bunch of people just because you're a hedonistic person.
Agreed. I mean, like I said before, Annika makes a good point here. There's definitely people who are way more sexually driven than others. Some people are way less sexually driven. Understandable. If you're not, like, here's when I was younger, when I was in high school, I never understood. I enjoyed having sex. It was one of my favorite things to do when I was in high school, you know, and I was banging chicks left and right, and I loved it. And but I never understood why people would call these girls sluts that were having sex with me, they were having sex with other people, why they were called sluts. I never understood that. And you know, it's just an old traditional thing. People just look at women and say, you know, if women have sex, it's gross. You know, it's not. You know what it is. It's not exactly that. It's if women have sex with anyone other than me, it's gross. That's how they think. It's not really women having sex is gross, because when they're having sex with women, they're not finding it gross. I can guarantee you that. So the truth is, any woman not having sex but not with me is what's degenerate. That's how they're seeing it. But in the end, she's right. There's no. Oh wait, sorry, I was in the middle of a story. Right. I never understood why they would call these girls sluts. They would say, you know, girls have sex, they have sluts. Now, for me, what a slut would be, what made sense to me when I was in high school, this was the idea I came up with, was like, I think a slut would be more of a person who has sex for the wrong reasons. Not a person who's having sex because they enjoy sex or because they have an emotional connection with someone and think that sex is the best way to express that, you know, connection with that person. No, these are the people who have sex with people for manipulation or to get attention. Like, you know, you know, this group doesn't want to hang out with me. Maybe if I have sex with one of them, you know, they'll include me in their group and I'll feel like I belong with them. You know, those are people I would say are sluts because you know, have sex for the right reasons. This is what you should be teaching your children, not don't have sex ever. You know, you should be teaching your kids how to be responsible with sex and how to think about sex, how sex is, what it really is, not, you know, not this Santa Claus bullshit where it's like, oh, there's a man coming down a chimney, gonna bring you presents. That's some bullshit magical shit you're putting. To just tell your children the sex is degenerate, don't do it, is kind of like that. You're giving them something with no explanation. It's kind of like religion. Like when you teach your kid religion, you don't have a real explanation as to why you believe in this God. You know what I'm saying? You have no good explanation for that. And you're kind of doing the same thing with sex if you do this, you know?
Or because you want to be a hedonistic person, I should say. Everybody kind of has their own little sexual personality, so do what's right for you.
Thanks, Stephen.
I myself don't believe that I would be checking my daughter's hymen. Okay, would you do the same thing to your male son? You have no way of checking him. So I see, that's where I see the double standard.
That's misogyny. If you care about the woman and not the man, then that's just misogyny.
I agree with Dave 100% there. That's misogynistic. And I do understand that men or women are different. But just like Annika said, there's a way to check for women. But there's no way to check for a man. But if you're going to have a talk with your daughter about, hey, you got to be responsible about sex, you should have a talk with your son too. What's the difference? You know, you don't want your son getting caught up in shit too. You don't want him getting a girl pregnant when he's young. You don't want him catching an STD when he's young. You know what I'm saying? You got to do these things responsibly. Let's see what more of these people say. Awkward. Yeah. Dave has been to Epstein Island, confirmed. Already. Stupid. Fucking dead raider. Stupid. LOL asexual. Well, I don't know any asexual person, but I do know that there are people with low sex drives who aren't, you know, they don't feel that connection with people very well. Fluff, he knows it's harmful. That's the point. I'm not sure what he's talking about there. What's Ja Rule's take on this? That's pretty funny. Is LP on Android? I don't know.
That's actual misogyny. If you care that a woman has
What's Ja Rule's take on this?
that's actual misogyny.
No, I don't know, because misogyny is hating women. I just think men and women are different. You know
They
what I'm
are
saying?
different, but
Yeah.
sex is bad for one and not the other is ridiculous.
So this
Agreed. Sex for one is bad and not the other is ridiculous. I want to bring up a point. Nobody brought this up. Because, thanks, Rob. I appreciate that too, man. I will have a beer on you. Thank you. Well, not literally on you. I'm not gay. But I want to bring up this point. Now, this is LP's idea, right? We're just going to pick the age 16. He did say 14, but let's pick the age 16. Girls should not have sex when they're 16. Boys can have sex when they're 16, right? How does that make any fucking sense when you think about the case of if girls can't have sex till they're older, but boys can, who are the boys having sex with? You know what I'm saying? Should 16-year-olds only have sex with 21-year-olds? Is that what he's saying? I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he hasn't thought this through enough. Because that makes absolutely no sense. If it's okay for boys to have sex when they're young and not for women, who are they having sex with? Absolutely nobody. Because the women can't have sex with them. That's degenerate, right? But so who are the men having sex with? Obviously, it would have to be an older woman, right? What a contradictory fucking viewpoint. I know for a fact he hasn't thought of that. He just didn't think deeply enough. But if he did, he would realize, oh wait, I guess it's wrong for boys to have sex too, because if they're having sex with a woman who's too young to have sex, then they're doing something bad, right? Then they're doing something degenerate as well. It's not the woman who's being degenerate. They both are. Ridiculous. Well, in the end, nobody's being degenerate, obviously. Confusing human ways with emotional bearings or trappings. Yep, correct. That's exactly what this is. They're confusing human ways with emotional bearings and trappings. Off topic, but have you seen what people are saying? But yeah, never mind. That's got nothing to do with anything. What are you guys saying? No homo, yeah. Because he's trying to justify his incel life, but hasn't put it all together yet. Yeah, I think so. And even if it's not incel life, he definitely has trauma or issues with women in the past, and he's blanketed that on all women. You know, like maybe was in a relationship with a terrible woman who screwed him over, and now he's taking her behaviors and he's blanketing that on all women and saying every woman who exhibits the behavior of this one woman who screwed me over they're all gonna be people who screw you over. You know, they're all gonna be the same kind of person. It's kind of how MGTOW's mentality is, right? MGTOW's is totally a MGTOW mentality, where if you watch, I remember I got into an era where I was watching these MGTOW guys because they're fucking hilarious, but a lot of them said the same thing. A lot of them were men who had gotten married, their woman left them, cheated on them, they got divorced, the woman took 50% of their money, and now what they say is, all women are like this. Women only manipulate. We're going our own way because any woman I get with is going to manipulate me. They're going to take my money. That's all they care about. And it's, you're taking the one person, you're blanketing it over everyone. It's a stupid mentality. It doesn't work that way. Human beings come in an enormous variety of thought types. It's just a huge variety. Eyelet says, why is Dave talking to that clown? Yeah, well, Dave's been going on all these live streams. I don't think he's being too picky right now. He really wants to clear his name of the accusations going on, and he just wants to go and get as much exposure as possible, go on every stream he can to just, tell his side of the story. I think it's great. I think it's good. I mean, it sucks that he went on this fucking stream and had to deal with this nonsense. But at least he, we started this at the end of the stream. The first hour of the stream is him talking about the accusations against him and, telling his side of the story, talking about the evidence he has and stuff. It's actually pretty good. I would recommend watching this from the beginning because he actually says a lot of good stuff. It's a good interview. Also, Fanny interviewed him as well. If you guys don't know, you can search Fanny Anzai, Anzai, and you could see her interview with David Silverman. It was a pretty good interview. He did the same thing. He got to speak his side of the story. and didn't have to delve into this bullshit kind of stuff that happened at the end here. RB, I can only imagine what Rod Serling would say or make as an episode to this. Yeah, I'm sure. I get that vibe. He would probably just shake his head and walk off screen. Yeah. Basically, he'd be like, "Fuck this shit." See, Steven, I know he probably feels like a shower after that. Yeah, next he'll go on Mike, Aaron and Mike's stream. I hope not. That would be a horrible stream. I'm sure Rod would have to pull a joint out rather than a cigarette. Yeah, what's up, Devin? How is their friend game? I think David friend zoned I Hypocrite after this. Dave would actually cut out on that one. Yeah, all the people jumping on interviewing him are right wing, and they're jumping on him because of the Me Too shit. Yeah, that's true too. And it sucked because David isn't really right wing. You could see he doesn't have those views. He's not, he doesn't think sex is degenerate. And he's going out all these streams where these people have these views where they're like, "Oh, sex is degenerate." Do they even shroom with Brian? Oh, shit. Oh, wait. Well, I guess I'll leave a like on there. Well, no. Let's give it a downvote because of this end. I do want to give it an upvote just because it was David Silverman on there. But, yeah, let me continue on this. He's literally at war with women. Sad. Yeah. He has a series called Sex Wars. Enough said. Yeah.
Graph shows.
Somebody, can I, real quick, before someone said, "Quick, Annika, do another fake rape allegation joke to lighten the mood."
Or sorry, this graph is
against LP.
I mean, it is kind of funny that somebody said that because, yeah, she kept making jokes about his sex allegations, but they weren't funny, and two, he's going through a traumatic experience. I think at some point maybe you're doing it at first to lighten the mood, but I think at some point you'd realize it's not going well and you would stop, but she kind of didn't. But oh well.
No funny fake.
I know. I understand. It's like joking about rape.
There are zero.
Joking about rape allegations is equally unfunny.
Yeah, it's like if you made a rape joke to somebody who's been raped.
Yeah, I understand.
I
understand that this completely ruined your whole fucking life. I get it. I understand. And
completely ruined my whole.
All right, let's look at the stat here. I kept telling you guys we're going to look at the data. I was looking at this earlier, and it's pretty fucking funny. Let me see how big I can make it, see if you guys see it. Now, look. Table 1 is women's number of lifetime sexual partners and the chances of being very happy in one's marriage. That's a very specific thing. But all right, so you understand these columns. This is the baseline. This is the number. This is the percentage for people who were previously married, divorced once, and then this is for their current marriage. They've been divorced before. SES is a social economic situation. And then these are religious people. So, well, I guess most of these don't matter. Let's just look at the baseline. This is really funny. Now, the baseline for the people who say they are very happy in their marriage, one partner says 64%. Somebody with two partners says 60%. That's a drop. 4% drop. Okay. 3 partners, 61%. Weird. How does 3 partners have 1% higher happy marriages than somebody with 2 partners? How weird is that? 4 partners drops to 54%. 5 partners, I can't even read that. 58%. It goes up again. How weird is that? It's almost like there's a level here where you hit a certain amount of experience where you can actually have a happy marriage. 6 to 10 partners, 52%. Oh, it's a little drop. But here we go, 11 to 20% goes up to 59%. That's close to people with 2 partners. That's just a 1% difference. How weird is that? It's almost like, yeah, maybe if you don't have many partners, you can have a happy marriage. But if you have a shit ton of partners, you can also have almost the same amount of happy marriage. 21 plus partners is 57%. That's only, all of these numbers are completely negligible. A 7% difference from 1 partner to 21 partners is nothing. That is useless. It's so negligible that you shouldn't even think about taking a stand against that. There's so many other things that are more important to take a stand on that have way more detrimental effects to the world, than fucking banging people when you're young or having multiple partners. Who gives a shit? This is completely negligible. It's crazy that he uses this as a stat to be like, oh, look, people with multiple partners are less happy in their marriages than people. Look at the stat, 64% to the highest being 57%. It's not much of a difference. It's fucking crazy. This is where I say people just want to use these stats to have their biased opinions correct, but it's not correct. It's bullshit, and he's just trying to find a way to have these stats fit his ideals, you know. And it's exactly what feminists do, which is funny because he's so anti-feminist. Almost every video he makes is about feminism, about women's behavior, and then he pulls out these stats. That's complete bullshit, and he reads these stats and comes to some bullshit biased conclusion, just like feminists did when they looked at the wage gap stats. Let me read what you guys are saying. Is Dave a thicklin? Yeah, he might be. If any of you have any valor, but I gotta make a fun of Grant. Well, in her defense, I can laugh at that bad things that have happened to me, but that's just me. Yeah. But like I was saying, Rob, if you got to read the room, right? Like, I understand people trying to be funny, trying to lighten the mood, but you have to read the room. If it's not working, there's a point where you have to be like, okay, I need to stop and not do any more of these. Well, unless you don't give a shit and you just want to blow off your guest and be like, fuck you, Those stats are subjective BS. Also, correlation is not exactly too. Now, if we want to come to different conclusions, we can also say maybe the people who are having multiple partners and are unhappy in marriage, maybe they're just the kind of people who can't stay with one person. Maybe they're capricious people who just one day they feel like another thing, another day they feel like something else. And it's why they're having sex with a bunch of people, is why they can't stay in a relationship, is why they're unhappy in a marriage, because over time they just want something different. People have different personalities. There's so many conclusions we could come to that this could mean. But of course, him being biased, his view is this means people with multiple partners can't be happy in a marriage. Why not? Why not, LP? Is it because they had sex with multiple people? What is that? What does that cause that makes you unhappy in marriage? Like, I don't get it. I think this is more about personalities. I think this is just a person's personality. They could be capricious. They could be people who have trouble with commitments, but they jump into commitments and then have trouble with commitments. People change their minds all the time. People change. People get married when they're young and grow up and realize they're not the person they thought they were. The person they married is not the person they thought they were. The emotions they're feeling is not what they thought they were. This shit happens all the time, man. It's such a normal thing too. LP scoffed at the idea that someone would call him an incel. Yeah, I said that earlier, and it's like, you're outputting that behavior, and then you're surprised when people call you that. Maybe he's not an incel, but he sure looks like one. All of his ideals match with incel type ideals, and it's like, why? Don't be surprised when people call you that. In fact, you should be going out and explaining why you're not, because you're obviously outputting incel, atmosphere, or whatever you want to call aura. You've got an incel aura around you, dude. You need to dispel that. He's the living definition. Yeah, this is just Family Feud category. Yeah, whatever gash he has got has been shit. Yeah, I'd probably the shit gashed. Hashtag shit gash. I have had an unspeakable number of partners, and I'm freaking this. Yeah, same here, Steven. I've been with a bunch of chicks, and in fact, I've been with bunch of chicks who have been with a bunch of dudes. It never made a difference. I've had friends in my life who were female and were booty calls at a point in our lives that aren't anymore. But there was a point in our lives where we're both single, and it's like, hey, you want to bang, whenever you want, yeah, just give me a call, and it happens for like maybe a year or two, and then one of us gets in a relationship and it ends there, and it never happens again, and we're still friends. There's nothing weird, there's nothing off. We both have had healthy relationships outside of that, so there's no problem there. I think the people who think these things are people who are inadequate with sexual relationships. They're inadequate with women being sexual. It probably, when they see women being sexual, it probably makes them feel uncomfortable or jealous, or like, oh, look, this is what I was saying before, where it's like, people don't call sluts who have sex with them. They call people who call girls sluts are people who are seeing these girls have sex with everyone but them. That's gross. That's degenerate. She had sex with all these guys. Gross. It's not gross when they're having sex with you, though, right? Like, so it's a ridiculous concept that these people can't see past their blinders and realize, like, oh shit, I'm contradicting myself, right? It's like a cognitive dissonance. Total confirmation bias, that show, blah blah blah. Especially the ones with Steve Harvey. I'm lost on that. What that means? Oh, Family Feud, yeah. The sluts. He should create conflict with his friends. Yeah. By the way, Alf, if it weren't for copyright strikes, you should stream Geek Speed dating shows. Cringy shit. I never heard of it, but I'll check it out. Again, people who can't even hold down relationships, let alone marriages, know what marriages are all about. Exactly. 100%, Grant. You're totally right. Not an incel, but says incel shit. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He outputs it and then is surprised that people call him that. He's inug? Oh, involuntarily ugly. Oh my god. All right, let's get back to this.
Fucking life.
I understand.
I lost everything I loved. Remember, realize that.
I do.
So what are we looking at here?
All right, right here we got a number of
bigger.
lifetime sexual partners and the chances of being very happy in one's marriage.
That doesn't matter about age.
At what age? Yeah, remember, Hypocrite's first point, this all came from T.I. checking his daughter's hymen. This all came from T.I. LP's point of saying that if you have sex when you're young, you know, you're going to go to college, you're going to get turned out, you're going to come back depressed, you're going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, you're going to be indoctrinated with Marxist, you know, just from having sex when you were younger, you know, like all those things are going to happen to you somehow, magically.
Well, it's just, it's the number of partners you've had before you get married. So it stands to reason if you stop your daughter from having sex at a younger age, she's going to have less partners in the long.
Is that true? I don't think so. What if your daughter's a virgin till she's 29 and then decides, I'm just going to leave my legs open and let anybody who bangs me bang me, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to maybe she did it when she was younger, got over it and was like, you know, I've been having sex since I was 16. I'm 21 now. You know, maybe I should settle down and, you know, slow down. It's ridiculous.
So look at
people have different personalities. People are going to take sex differently and either delve into it hardcore or just, you know, just had nibble, you know, like people are going to take it in totally different ways. What's up, Duran? How many of these surveyed lied? That's a good point as well. It's kind of looked down upon, as we were saying, for people to have sex with multiple people. So who's saying that these people gave less of a number, right? Who's saying that these people are just saying they're happy in marriage when they're really not, too? Hey, friend, want to chat with me about NoFap? Boop, 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 boop.
Difference here. We're talking about 64% for one partner and 55% for 21 plus partners.
Yeah,
you think
correlation.
Oh, he's looking at the wrong one, but baseline's actually 57%, not 55. He's looking. This is the number of people who have been in a marriage before and then were divorced, and are in their current marriage.
I'd rather have the 21.
I have a quick question.
I love that Dave said I'd rather have the 21 partners and just be a little bit less happy in my marriage.
Where's this girl's mother? And why isn't her mother discussing her sex life with her? Why is it her father? That would be extremely humiliating for me.
Because he's famous. He's a famous rapper. So he was out doing an interview.
That doesn't make it any different. Oh, because he's famous, so it's okay. That doesn't make it any different.
The ladies interviewing him asked him about being a dad or whatever. They brought it up and he was like, yeah, here's what I do.
Yeah. So, but that's not the data that you told me about. We're talking about young girls.
I like how this even says right here, women who've had 11 or more lovers are a bit more likely, just a little bit more likely, to report happy marriages at 57%. It's not much of a difference. It's completely negligible.
Young girls.
Well, no, this is just lifetime partners, right?
If she goes to school and she's getting all the dicks.
Look, for men, it's even worse. Holy shit. Look, one partner, 71%. To 21 plus partners, 59%. That's way more than 7%. LP just proved he has a double standard. It's worse for men who have, according to these statistics, men are less happy who have had more partners in their marriage than women are. 59% from 71%. What a huge drop. Total difference. What an idiot. He didn't even spot that. This just shows how biased he is, that he's just trying to fit this statistic into his biased thoughts. Oh my God. Crazy. Jesus didn't tell his followers to ghost their families. LP's been off his game since she bared her shoulders. Oh, since Annika did that. Yeah, maybe. Oh my God, justification. He's famous. I know. Look at LP looking at the graph, hoping it is telling us that women shouldn't have sex. Yeah, he really is. He really is looking at it like that. Look at him. Look at his face. He's staring at it, like trying to cram his head into thinking, like, how does this say women shouldn't have sex?
She's gonna be turned out, and she's gonna leave with a whole bunch of debt.
LP.
Yeah.
LP, is he telling his daughter not to make false rape accusations?
Let's see what this one says. The role of marriage age in explaining the relationship between sexual background and marital happiness. One partner, baseline 60. I'm not really too sure what that means. Let's see. For both men and women, the baseline models in Table 3 include all the independent variables listed in Tables 1 and 2. The subsequent columns include age at marriage. But where does it say the age? I don't see it here. Oh, marriage age. But it doesn't tell you what the marriage age is. That's weird. I'm not sure how to read that. Overall, Tab 3 suggests that adding marriage age to the analysis makes essentially no difference, so it cannot explain the relationship between sexual background and marital quality. Oh my god, the study he showed completely busts everything he says. Oh man, ridiculous.
So here's age and
that
relationship.
I would be more okay. So if I were to talk to my young daughter or teenage daughter about sex,
look at this one. When you put marriage age, 63% one partner, 63% 11 plus partners. It's the same. There's a drop in between, but it seems like the more partners you have, the more you get to the happiness of having one partner. Like it's almost as if having sexual experience is good for marriage. Not for men, though. For men, it just continually, maybe not continuously drops, it almost does. It's still a 10% drop, like from the one partner to 11 plus partners. Crazy.
I would explain to her that sex is the most amazing feeling in the entire world. It is a drug, and you need to be very careful about who you have sex with because you develop emotional bonds with that person. And so my whole sex talk would be about being responsible.
Sorry, I was reading the chat. What Tiffany said cracked me up. Men must have sex with one another to save women from being sluts. That's great. Oh my god, did she just make another horrible ass joke? Yeah, probably. If you think about it, LP is a little bit gay.
Now I would hope
I don't know about that. I don't know about him being gay, but he's totally awkward about women, man. Totally inadequate. Trust me, I've seen this guy's channel for a while. I've talked to him before. I don't know him that well. Like I've talked to him cursory, like a cursory conversation. I haven't had like deep conversations with him. But like from me observing what he constantly talks about, he's obsessed with female behavior. And the only reason I can see that being is because he's trying to, he's being picky, basically. He wants all women to behave in the way that he likes so that he has a bigger pool of women to choose from. Too bad. Human beings have their own agency. They can be whoever the fuck they want. They are who they are. You have to lighten up and loosen up your strict guidelines here.
My daughter would wait until she's old enough to not be gutted because the odds of her fucking a guy at 16 and then marrying him later and having that be her only sex partner is very low.
So this just says that the marriage age doesn't really matter. It's more.
Yeah, I kind of see. I'm kind of half paid attention to what Annika was saying, but I heard the end. And is she saying that like if you've only been with one partner or you get married and that's your only partner you ever been with, that it's a high chance of getting divorced? I would think that's true. I think that people want to have experience. And I think when people get married too young, you marry your high school sweetheart, you've never had sex with anyone else, 5-10 years down the line, you're going to be looking at other people. You're going to be looking at, damn, this guy looks like he could fucking bang the shit out of me and fucking make me come. My husband doesn't make me come anymore. Like that's the shit that happens, especially if the guy hasn't been with other people. If you don't have sexual experience, you're not going to know how to, satisfy your wife. Sorry, you're not. You know what I'm saying? If you do, maybe you have some supernatural talent that's exclusive to a very small minority of men out there. But the vast majority of men out there, if you've never had a sexual experience and get married, you're not going to know how to satisfy your wife. Your wife is probably not going to fully know how to satisfy you either. And you're going to get to a point where you're both looking at other people like, oh shit, this chick looks like she knows what she's doing. The chick's going to be, oh, this guy looks like he knows what he's doing. You're going to look at a bumpy road up ahead in your marriage.
The number of partners that you've had.
Yeah, but when?
Well, it doesn't matter when. It's how many.
The effect of sexual background on marital happiness in perspective. 4-year college degree. All right, so not having it, 61%, 66%, not much of a difference again, negligible. Attends religious services frequently. Again, only 6% difference. Another negligible statistic. Income, 68,000 a year or not, even smaller, 5% difference, no biggie. Here, race, white, 64%, African American, 53%, Latino, 58%, other, 57%. Again, I would say, I don't know this for a fact, but I would think race plays into our libidos probably to some extent, maybe not, 100%, but I'm sure it's to some extent. Every Hispanic I know is a fucking sexual deviant, including myself, loves to have sex, highly motivated by it. So I could see that. I could see that 58% of them are unhappy in their marriages. I could see that because they're always looking at other people. It's like a natural thing for us. But I mean, again, these are all kind of close. It's not that much of a difference. All these statistics to me mean nothing because they're all really close. It's not a huge difference. One lifetime partner happiness is 67%. More than one lifetime partner happiness, 60%. 7% drop. Who cares? It doesn't mean shit.
You partners you've had before you get married. But like I'm saying, it stands to reason the longer you wait to have sex.
In fact, you know what the real issue is here? Why is our unhappiness level in marriages so low? No matter what, none of these stats, oops, what did I do with that? None of these stats are over 70%. That's a 30% of this. That means 30% of all people, no matter what, are unhappy in their marriage. You know what I'm saying? That's an issue. That's something we should be looking into. Did I just close it? Where did I put it? Oh shit, I think I closed it. Fuck. Sorry guys. I'll bring it back up. When did I do that? I must have clicked it by accident. But yeah, that's more important to look at than what he's saying. More importantly, why are so many people unhappy with marriage? Look at this. One partner, female baseline, 62%. That's the highest percentage? No, 65% is the highest percentage with 11 plus partners. That's pretty low. You know what I'm saying? That's 50% from being 50%. There's a problem there. That's more important to look at.
So this just says that the marriage age doesn't really matter. It's more the number of partners that you've had.
Yeah, but when?
Well, it doesn't matter when. It's how many partners you've had before you get married. But like I'm saying, it stands to reason the longer you wait to have sex, the less partners you're going to have, doesn't it?
And if your daughter didn't have sex until 18, but then had all the dick in the world.
Well, no, ultimately you don't want them to have.
Yeah, no, but see, this is the stupidity. Dave, 100% right. It's a retarded statement to say, well, obviously, if they wait longer, they're not going to have as much sex. Not true. Total bullshit. People have sex for the first time at all types of age, and then they can go in different directions from there. Either bang all the time or not. It's funny, after he says that, he goes to, well, you wouldn't want your daughter. This conversation was never about what you want. Never. It never went to that at any point. That's where he takes it, which exposes his true thoughts. He doesn't want his daughter to have sex, so sex is degenerate. And that's really the underlying issue here. The only reason he thinks sex is degenerate is because he's thinking of his daughter and hoping she's not having sex. You know what I'm saying? Which is natural. I don't have anything against him thinking that way. Completely natural to not want your young daughter to be having sex. Totally. But if you're going to have a viewpoint about that, just say it. Just say, look, I don't want my, it makes me feel ill to think that my daughter's having sex. Don't put your daughter on everyone. All women aren't your daughter. Let's read some more of their chat. Let's see what they were saying here. I missed some of this. Nothing else care. I'll check Annika's daughter's hymen if she is over 18. Gross. Like, what the fuck? Why would you say that? Nasty people. No men and women are the same, but different. No, what? No, men or women are the same, but different. I guess that kind of makes sense. I see what you're saying, but it's kind of irrelevant to say that. Let's make fun of him. So they're talking about making fun of David because he disagrees with them. even though none of them have been, even in the chat, nobody's been given a legitimate reason for thinking this way. They just want to. Can you zoom in more? LP cares about happiness of women. Does he really, or does he care about his own happiness? That's what it seems like to me. If he cared about the happiness of women, he would say he'll let women find their own happiness and let women do what they want to do that's happy. He wouldn't be going around telling women what makes them happy, you know? Just do what makes you happy. You could figure that out. People figure that out for themselves. They don't need other people to tell them that. Who wrote this? Yeah, great question. Who wrote this? Yeah. Thomas Clay. It is not the same as if a woman got trapped. Yeah, I guess some of this is out of context. Shift the goalposts, Dave? No, it's been LP who's been shifting the goalposts from the beginning. It went from LP switched this from starting from the point of you shouldn't have sex, girls shouldn't have sex when they're young, to going to college and getting turned out and all this other stuff happening, to the amount of partners you have will mean you're unhappy in marriage, even though we just saw that it wasn't with his own statistics. And then now going to, well, you wouldn't want your daughter to. Those are all different conversations he's having. And Silverman's the only one staying on topic. And even when he showed him this graph, Dave asked the question of how this topic originally started and said, where's the age? Because that's how this conversation started. He's actually the only one who stayed at the goalpost while LP was moving it around. This Jim Beebe guy is retarded and just using, debate buzzwords that he doesn't even know what they mean. So, anal centipede again. This is the kind of weird topic for a political stream. I guess, yeah, it is. LP brought it up though, so I mean, blame it on him. I am Jack's lack of knowledge. I am Jack's unchecked hymen. This guy gets destroyed by feminists and still a feminist activist? What? Not really. I guess you haven't been paying attention. It's because he doesn't respect women himself. I hope he's talking about LP, because that's true. That's what it seems like, at least. It seems like it's because he doesn't respect women. That's why he thinks that way. He doesn't think women have agency and can come up with these decisions themselves. Let's see. Sex isn't that great. Hot take. What does that say, guys? I'll leave that to you guys. Hedonist, whatever. Sex is overrated, guys. Boop boop. Annika's daughter would be a thought. These guys are just dicks. This isn't probably how these guys act in real life. They just love to go on streams and act like assholes. It's the cool thing to do these days, is to be an asshole to people for some reason on the internet. Oh, my dog's howling. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Let's see let me read what you guys were saying here. Makes you wonder if Muhammad was thinking this when Gabriel was visiting him. Yeah. She's gonna fuck if you want her to or not. That's kind of the whole point, is you could do whatever the fuck you want, but your kids are gonna be kids and they're gonna experiment with each other. It happens all the time. I mean, I don't think anybody's out there encouraging their kids to have sex, and yet, there's tons of kids out there having sex. Okay, that's an insult to gays. Overbearing parents lead to daughters dancing to pay their way through nursing school. That is true. Maybe not 100%, but yeah, a lot of times you see girls who delve into these kind of worlds are because they have daddy issues. And either their daddy was way too strict or their daddy wasn't around, and it's one or the other. But either way, both of those end up leading to bad things. Here's the thing where, with this, my thoughts on this, with this conservatives being so against free sex movements and degeneracy and all this stuff. It's funny that they just look at, it's more of a confirmation bias. Again, it's funny they only look at one period, and they look at now and they say, look what the sexual revolution did. Look how people are acting now. We need to go back to before the sexual revolution, to the 50s, where people stayed married and had a good time, without thinking that the sexual revolution was a counterculture that happened because of the 50s, because of the sexual repression that was going on in the 50s, because people were shamed for getting divorced and couldn't experience what they needed to sexually, and were stuck in these getting married when they were young, getting pregnant and having to marry that guy. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. Of course, that we should have 2-parent homes, but you can't always have that. It doesn't always work. There's times where, the parents don't get along, and it's worse that they're together than apart for the kid, And we have to look at these times and see that that was a counterculture to the sexual repressive culture that was going on before that. So if you want to go back to that, all you're doing is going to create a worse counterculture where people are even more sexual. Like, how do they not get that? It's weird that they don't see these patterns and trends. It's clear to see, you know. I can't see the video, Alf. Oh shit, my bad. That's because I closed it and opened it again. But yeah, I hope you guys understood what I was saying there. Let me close that one. But yeah, you guys get what I'm saying. It's strange that they don't see what the counterculture caused. That the sexual revolution was in response to the sexual repression before it. How do you not see that? It's so obvious. The only thing I could guess is they don't see that because they're too young and they don't know the history of it. They didn't see that. I mean, when I was growing up, we were kind of obsessed. You know, it was the 90s. We were kind of obsessed with the 60s. That's what our parents went through, and we saw stuff from the 50s and 60s. We understand what the cultures were at those times, so we see those patterns. Maybe they're not seeing it. I'm not sure what it is, but I don't see how they don't figure that out. Dave dropped the bricks on his his daughter's like 5 or 6. He's got a while to worry about this. Yeah. Incels say shit like that thinking they're witty. Yeah. No one in the chat is fucking, so you shouldn't either. Yeah. He keeps saying turned out. It says a lot about how he thinks of it. Yeah. Obviously having sex means you're getting turned out. But I don't know. Do you guys know what the word turned out really means? That's slang term for orgasm. Like you had good sex. Like that girl getting turned out means she got banged good. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of shows that he's off put by girls being turned out. So he's off put by girls having good sex. Weird. It could say something about him. I'll let you guys come up with that. Sex is overrated. People not having sex. Exactly. Man, you don't want your daughter to end up like Pink Girl. Yeah, total sluck. Anal centipede greater than anal vape. Yeah, maybe. It's funny, we will be able to know the day T.I.'s daughter loses her virginity when he stops taking her to the doctor to check her hymen. Yeah, she's going to be banging like crazy after that. That is a weird thing to do. Is that legit what's going on? Yeah, that's how this all started. This conversation started. What's up, Red Guy? They don't see it because it would nuke their entire lives. Yeah. That again, yeah, it's a confirmation bias. They don't want to look at that because all they want to know is that sex is bad, which totally comes from religion. When I was younger, the only people who thought sex was a bad thing were religious people. Now it's funny that we have all these people. Yeah, some of them are religious, but it's funny that we have some people who aren't religious pumping out this religious ideal. It's weird. Let's continue.
Of all the dick in the world, but it just stands to reason if they're older, they're going to be able to make more.
From an STD, Dave, from an STD.
I kind of do agree with what LP said. There was reasonable. It stands to reason that if they hold off to have sex when they're older, they're going to make more responsible decisions. That is true, but there's no 100% for that. So you should be teaching your kids to be responsible at a young age and assuming that they will have sex at a young age. You should assume that, and you should treat it as such so that you can educate them, try to teach them. You know, obviously kids are going to go against what you tell them anyway, but you got to try your best as a parent, right? You got to try your best to be like, hey, you be responsible, be careful, make sure how you feel about someone before, you open your legs and stuff like that. But don't say, don't do it, because guess what happens when you make things a taboo for kids? They do it. My parents were really hard. I grew up in the ghetto where people were tons of drug addicts everywhere. And what did my parents do? They told me all the time, don't do drugs. Drugs are terrible for you, blah, blah, blah. What ended up happening? I turned 13. I started hanging out with people that were doing drugs, and I was like, fuck it. Let me try this. You know what I'm saying? My parents tell me not to do it, but I'm going to try it out for myself. I don't want people, when you're a kid, you don't want people telling you what to do. You want to figure things out for yourself, and that's what you do.
Any perspective?
Yeah,
from sheerly risk of pregnancy, emotional, all of that shit. I would say I'd prefer my daughter not fuck a bunch of randos, especially in high school. I'd rather her stick with school. I don't have a teenage daughter, so I can't.
Yeah, but see, that's completely irrelevant. This isn't about what we'd prefer. That's not what the conversation is. Of course, people prefer for their young daughters not to be fucking random dudes in high school. Of course. That's only natural. That's not what the conversation is.
I mean, everybody says that they would do one thing and then they don't.
I'm an extremely sex positive person. I think if you're old enough to want to have sex, I mean, within reason, you're old enough to have sex. If you're old enough to be responsible about it, you're old enough to have sex. It's a body function. Humans do this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect you. If you can have sex with all the dick in the world, you can still do all your homework, or you can play video games and not do your homework.
100%. Dave is 100% right here. You can have all the dick in the world and still do your homework. You could play all the video games you want and do your homework. But also, people who obsess over stuff cannot do their homework, right? If you obsess over sex and take precedence of that over your homework, you're not going to do your homework, obviously. Same thing with video games. Works the same regardless of what you put in place of sex. If it's something that you're going to obsess over and prioritize it over everything else, you're going to screw up your life, obviously. It's not a thing to do with sex. It has to do with how you prioritize your life. They don't see it. Oh, yeah, they said, I read that already. Gen X for the win. Yeah, Dave knows. Because how old is David Silverman? He's probably 40s, late 40s, or is he like closer to my age? I don't even know. Because they want those Christian values. Yeah, I fucking love Dave. Me too, man. 100% right, man. Dave destroyed LP on this.
Sex is not dirty. Sex is not bad. Sex is not.
You can have sex with all the dicks in the world and isn't going to affect you. Then that's not very good sex.
Correct.
Haven't you ever heard of the 1,000?
He said correct, fine. Yeah, I mean, that's not what he meant. She's trying to be funny again, but that's not what he meant. He just meant it's not going to change your life drastically, like LP is saying. It's not going to turn you into. You're not going to have sex and then all of a sudden you're going to realize, oh shit, I'm $100,000 in debt and my life is ruined. You know, if you do it irresponsibly, yeah, but if you're doing it responsibly, it's fine. That's the problem. Is these guys. The problem is they have such an aversion to sex that they don't make a distinction between responsible sex and irresponsible sex. There's a huge difference there, okay? You can't just say that there's no difference between those things. Look at this asshole. Dave likes him young. Where did you get that from? You know, you're just trying to be a dick. Straight up asshole.
Cock stare.
Oh, let me go back a bit because
you're old enough to have sex.
This is a very funny moment.
You're old enough to be responsible.
This is where LP ruins this entire interview. He already ruined it, but he takes it way past the point.
You're old enough to have sex. It's a body function. Humans do this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect you. If you can have sex with all the dick in the world, you can still do all your homework, or you can play video games and not do your homework. Sex is not dirty. Sex is not bad. Sex is not.
You can have sex with all the dicks in the world and isn't going to affect you. Then that's not very good sex.
Correct.
Haven't you ever heard of the 1,000 cock stare?
Okay, guys, it's time for me to go to get dinner.
Dave is so done with this.
Thank you for having us on, or being on here, I should say, for talking to us. I'm glad you got to.
And I appreciate you letting me get. And I'm sorry that I got angry.
All right, that's pretty much it. Oh man, how funny is that? Look at this guy. Dave was on Epstein Island. Ugh. Pooping is a body function. I should be pooping constantly. Like, what? Actually, you should be pooping whenever you feel the need to poop. Just like sex. I fart, don't stop me. Oh, God. He has such retarded people in his chat. It's so weird. Let me go back. Let's talk about this, guys. Let's go back to this screen. Oh, now it's showing that. Close that. Okay. So let me get back to the chat. My dick is a pillar and it provides more than some religious. Dead Raider, yeah. I'm going to trust a guy with that name, exactly. That was so bad. It really was, man. It's so horrible. I feel bad for Dave doing that interview because I'm sure he went in there thinking, yeah, I'm just going to go in. I'm going to, tell my side of the story, clear my name. And then he got sucked into this retarded conversation that, LPs are retarded about. I did save some screen caps. I'm not going to show it to you guys because I have to fix the OBS for all that. But it was stuff people were saying in the chat, mostly Paul Zook. Oh, a couple of people. Anal centipede. I love. Grant said Paul Zook is a pure health faggot in the chat. Anal centipede said Dave needs hardcore evidence. Paul Zook said now nobody will fuck Dave because he's on record on recording people. Oh yeah, because he was saying with consent, asshole. There's a part in the video where David's saying, he's paranoid about people making these accusations about him again. So he said, now he records the people he's gonna have sex with. He asks them, are you consenting to this, and records them saying that. And he's saying, it's extremely awkward, but he feels like he has to do it. So this guy's got to be an asshole and say nobody's gonna have sex with Dave because he's recording people. Ugh. Stupid. What else they say? Bring me on. Of course, Ball Zook wants to go on. Dave would have ripped him a new asshole. He's bring me on. I will explain why your young daughter being a whore is not beneficial. Nobody said anything about a young daughter being a whore. That wasn't the argument. This is why people are stupid about this. He doesn't even understand the argument, but he wants to go on to argue it without understanding what the argument was. Hey, at Hypocrite, did you get triggered? Oh yeah, this is when Paul Zook kept saying all this anti-Semitical stuff, so Hypocrite banned him. I don't know if he brought him back or he came out another account, but he comes back and tags him and said, did you get triggered that I called Dave by his ethnicity, or was it a mod? You didn't call him by his ethnicity. You said anti-Semitic bullshit. You were saying that he was an asshole because of his ethnicity. You're stupid. Retarded. What else did he say? Oh yeah, the other stuff I already read while it was on the stream. But yeah, this is the idiots that think this way. The idiots who care too much about heritage. Your heritage, let me make it clear for you. Your heritage means shit. You didn't earn your heritage. You were just born that way. It's not something to show off as clout, to show that you're better than anyone else, or that's, that you have to care so much about because you didn't earn that. You can be proud of it, whatever, but it's not something you earned. Who gives a shit? Sex isn't bad. It isn't dirty. Just like Dave said, it's a natural thing. We're all here because of it, Dave is a true professional. Yeah, and Dave is an intelligent guy. He wasn't going to get... You think LP was going to be able to argue his, against them and win that? Paul wouldn't even come on here. Fuck him. Yeah, I remember when I did that video on him and I tagged him a bunch of times telling him, come in the chat, defend yourself. And he wouldn't. I'm going to go in there for all you guys just to call me names and all that. And I was like, hey, well, just letting you know I'm making a video about our conversation. I'm going to show everyone our conversation. And I'm giving you the chance to come in and defend yourself. I'm just letting you know it's up to you. I don't care if you come in or not. But yeah, he didn't show up, obviously. But I bet you any money he watched it. Just seemed kind of weird. You wouldn't trust the people you are sleeping with, but welcome to me too. Yeah, I mean, it gets to, well, because of what's happened to him, that's why he doesn't trust it. Because two people are lying about him, and he's got proof that they're lying, It's not like he's just saying it, George Carlin went on funny rants talking about pride. He insisted that he should be happy for national and or prides, not proud. And other prides, but not proud. I'm not sure what you mean, Tony. He stands for due process above all. Yeah, due process and skepticism. He's brought this up before, how it's weird that he was part of this atheist organization who practiced skepticism, but when it came to the accusations against him, they just automatically believed it. They were never skeptic about it. They never questioned it. They kicked him out without telling him why. They didn't tell him who accused him of what. Just kicked him out, and they never gave him his due process here. For the war on Thanksgiving. Hope y'all is locked, stocked, and loaded for the war against Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yeah. Should I end this now, or you guys want to talk about other things, or you want me to keep talking about this? What's up, guys? What do you guys want to do? Or anybody want to come in and chat? I don't know. And talk to me. Multiple times he said this, yeah. I mean, it's a shitty thing that happened to him. I'm glad that I think he's taking the proper approach now, and I'm glad he's doing that, coming out, giving his side of the story, because all that was anybody knew before that was the accusations. Nobody heard his side of the story. And from the accusations, if you read it, I mean, Devin did a video on it before David even came out, read what the women were accusing of what they were saying, and instantly thought it was fishy. We all did. We were like, what? This sounds weird. Like, you read this and it doesn't sound like this is sexual assault at all. Sounds like it was completely consensual. Like, what's going on here, you know? But at least now we're hearing his side and we know for sure. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know what's wrong with LP, but he completely exposed himself. It seems like he's getting worse, which he did say himself. He's getting more conservative with each year that passes by, which is strange. Why you would change your total belief and ideals every year from one side to another. To me, seems like he's following trends, because that's the trend of the internet. We're seeing more and more of this conservative idea coming out, more and more of these religious-based ideas coming out, and these people, sex is degenerate. We're seeing this constantly. I see it all the time, especially from young dudes. And, all that says to me is these young dudes aren't getting laid, and they need to blame it on something. They can't blame it on themselves. They can't have, they can't have any accountability. They have too much of an ego to say, I'm doing something wrong. So they have to say, everybody else is wrong. Everybody else doing it wrong. Society is to blame. I have to blame society because we're too promiscuous. That's why I'm not getting laid, because these girls are all out there already getting laid by everybody else. And that's the reason I'm not getting laid. Like, it's a ridiculous thought. You can get laid. You just got to do the right things. You can't be too picky. You can't be looking for the perfect person. Right? Isn't this like, if the guys who grew up around my time, isn't it a funny thing? Like, do you remember a lot of movies and a lot of things about women looking for Mr. Right? What was the morality behind all those movies and things? Was Mr. Right doesn't exist. You can't be too picky. You're dropping your pool of candidates by doing that, and you're just going to constantly be looking for that and never find it. This is why you can't do that. You can't just look for Mr. Right. You gotta change your pool. Just look for somebody you connect with. They don't have to be the perfect person. Ooh, Grant's in here. You gonna talk, Grant, or are you just gonna listen to me? I don't know. Let me know. It's more like I'm not getting laid, but it's okay. Didn't want those girls anyway. They're gross and used up. Yeah, that's a good point, Rob.
All right, I'm here. What's up?
Rob made a good point of saying that it's more like I'm not getting laid. It's okay. I didn't want those girls anyway. They're gross and used up, right? It's like, but the truth is they did want those girls, is that they can't get them, so they're going to take it to that level. It's a good point.
That's one thing I didn't bring up when we were talking earlier, was whatever happened to like confidence in men?
Yeah.
That's what you grow up in high school for, is learning that confidence of how to, how to meet chicks, how to, use that 4-year fucking window in high school to get fucking laid.
Yeah.
I mean, what else was high school for?
Be comfortable with rejection. You're gonna get rejected. Yeah. If you don't try, you're not gonna get laid. So you have to try and fail multiple times to learn how to do it properly, till you get it.
Every man has been rejected.
Yeah.
Once in their life, at least once in their life. You have to go through it. It's like growing pains. It's a rite of passage. You have to do it.
I've been rejected so many times. But but let me tell you guys, this is why I got laid so many times in my life, is because I got rejected so many times, because I never stopped trying. I'm not saying with the same person, that's creepy, but I'm saying I never gave up. But I'm saying I never gave up on trying to, hook up with girls because some people rejected me. I'm saying, oh, this one rejected me. Let me try another girl. Let me move on to the next girl or the next girl. You just got to keep trying. It's the way it is. I think a lot of these younger dudes, they're, and I understand it. When I was young, I was, everybody is at a point when they're young and they're afraid of being rejected. Everybody's at that point. You have to overcome that point. And I think there's a lot of people who are never getting past that, and they're just being stuck on that fear of rejection. It's like, dude, you got to get rejected. Yeah. Just get used to it.
And that goes back to the whole confidence thing. It's like these dudes, you can tell in his chat, they just reek of, no self-respect, no confidence.
I mean, how many chicks do you think you're going to get with the name? Oh, was the name Anal? What was it? Oh, I forgot it now. I have it here.
I gotta scroll up.
Anal Centipede. Yeah, Anal Centipede. Yeah. That name is getting you laid for sure, right?
But it's crazy. Like you didn't hear about people, saying the word degeneracy and hedonism and all that shit like 2 years ago.
The only people you heard saying that were devout devoutly religious people. You know what I'm saying? You didn't hear that from the average young man out there, you know?
Well, also, you got to remember, these are the same people that want, I don't want to say a theocracy, but like a Christian-ruled nation. The Christian values and all this shit. It all ties in.
Let me see if Tiffany wants to come in. It'd be nice to have a female perspective as well.
Yeah.
Look at it. Faye in the chat. Anal centipede, LOL. Yeah. It is. It's ridiculous. Like, how do you think somebody with that screen name is getting laid? Not at all.
I mean, you can tell with the bad jokes they were making, with some of the shit they were commenting. It's like, no, these grown ass men aren't having sex, and somehow it's women's fault. It's crazy because they can't even talk to women, but they'll bash women up and down.
Yeah, so weird thing is the internet really exposes people, and like unintentionally, like they don't realize they're exposing themselves. Like we can go with Paul Zuck, right? They're talking about people having sex when they're young, and he brings it to Jews. Like, what does that expose about him, right? It just straight up says he's an anti-Semite. What they were talking about had nothing to do with Jews. Why even?
Yeah, Paul Zuck is a fucking complete mess.
Yeah,
that dude is all knotted up. He needs to figure his own shit out before he wants to start talking about Jews and shit.
100%, that dude has serious mental issues.
Yeah, like I mentioned in the chat earlier, the only thing that Paul Zuck is fucking is the empty fucking hand stock of his 9mm.
Yeah.
He takes the magazine out. Oh, there's a hole.
Oh, I bet you any money.
Because that's the only hole he's getting.
He's not getting laid with that personality. Either he has a fake personality online and he doesn't act like that in person and gets laid, or he doesn't get laid because he acts like that in person. It's got to be the other.
That's another thing, personality. I mean, you develop the confidence and you start developing your own personality. That just to even talk to chicks, you've got to develop your own type of person. Mm-hmm. And these people have just given up on that.
Yeah.
Like stuff like I'm in my late 30s. You're what, 40?
40, yeah.
We had this for years. Some of these people are our age.
Yeah.
And they've completely just given up on that.
That I understand even less. I can understand young dudes. Young dudes are full of hormones, don't understand life yet. Their thoughts are brash and like I was saying before, when you're young, you kind of feel like the things that are happening are going to happen forever and there's no way out. You know what I'm saying? But, as you get older, you realize there's things you could do and, things aren't forever. Things get better, and you find your way. But so I can understand that from young dudes. But when you find guys our age that are like that, it absolutely confuses me. It's like, did they ever get out of their 20s? Like, are they just stuck in their 20s? Is that what it is? I don't know. It's weird.
Well, the younger ones, I'd say the reason behind that is, video games are to the point where they're the most realistic they've ever been. I mean, you can do VR porn now. So these guys never had to learn about, building that confidence or building their own personality to go out in the world and just even meet people. They can sit here and hide under a different name. They never had to show their true self.
Do you think a big part of that might be the internet? Do you think that it's enabling people to stay home more and not go out and meet women? Because they're getting human interaction through the internet as opposed to going out. Yeah.
I mean, with the video games, you can just, you can play somebody else online.
Yeah. Pretend to be
I remember back in school, it was like, hey, you want to come over and play, whatever today? You actually had somebody come over to the house.
Yeah.
So you can play video games with them.
It's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of PlayStation, because they don't have a lot of multiplayer games to play together in the same place. It's mostly all online stuff. Where Nintendo does focus on having multiple people over. That's why I always like Nintendo. I'm big on having people over to play with. But I think a lot of it is internet. What else? It's also just that there's also a thing of, like, for me, I'm very different because I grew up in a very condensed, overpopulated city. So I mean, the chances of me meeting somebody to have sex with is way greater than someone who grew up in the suburbs, right? Who needs a car to even go out. You know what I'm saying? And if you're underage, then you're gonna need your parents to take you there. Me, I could have just left my apartment, walked a couple of blocks, and been with a bunch of people, like, easily.
Even for me, if if I met a girl at school and I found out she was in my same neighborhood, I could just walk to her house.
Yeah, right. Jump on your little jump on your bicycle and fucking bike over, Yeah. But there's some people who live out in those kind of suburbs where people live far apart, where you only have a very small number of people in walking distance, you know, and that I can
Yeah,
understand.
but even back in the day, you know, people in the suburbs or rural areas, they still did it.
Yeah.
You know, they still met the person. They still were
Mm-hmm.
face to face with the person. They learned how to talk to people.
Yeah, even when
You
I was
know,
younger, I remember meeting up with friends and us driving to like suburban towns, and they always had a place to meet up and hang out. You know, they always had like,
yeah,
you know, they go to the 7-Eleven or something, you know, and hang out in the parking lot all night. But I
yeah.
think people,
Loitering was a thing back then.
yeah, yeah. Oh, we used to loiter like crazy. That's all we did, right? Was
Yeah.
hang out outside, go to parks, go to fucking a corner or something, just hang out at the corner. And but the thing is, yeah, you find a way. But I guess now with internet, like I said, it enables you to stay home instead of going to those places to go hang out with people. You could stay home and just talk on the internet, talk on your phone, right, and text people instead.
I don't know.
Makes people lazy.
Even with all this said, even they got to know that the best way to talk to somebody or meet somebody is to actually go out and
Yeah.
meet them.
Yeah, man. For
They,
anybody
they,
out
they
there,
have to know
if
this.
you're over 21, go out, man. Go to a bar, go to a show, go to do something. You know, meet people. Don't stay home.
I don't know. You would figure, like, you know, people like us, we hear about Silverman's story, and it's like, damn, I'd like to be able to find a chick where I can just spit in her mouth.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Dave went out and met people. You know, that was his job.
Fuck, I'll go out and spit in a girl's asshole. No, but it's the
Just
point,
to say
man.
I did.
You got to go out. You got to meet people, man. It's shitty
Yeah.
that these people just stay home and don't understand that.
I mean,
even now I'm 40 years old. I don't go out as much anymore. But I've had my fun. I've had my experience. But I still, time to time, I still go out and meet people. You know, I still go to a show here and there.
Yeah.
Devin came to New York. I went out to meet him. We walked around. You know, we did shit. We didn't just, he didn't come to New York and we still just talked on Discord. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, online relationships are a thing. There are some that are
my
successful.
last
but
girlfriend I was with her for 6 years. We met online. We talked online for a year and decided to move in together.
Yeah.
It was a good relationship.
Yeah,
You
but-
know, it ended.
But you
but
still
good.
had to go out and meet her.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Yeah, we still both
Oh,
had to
that's
have the
woman.
confidence to meet each other in person and and decide that we're going to move in together. And make that move. And I had to make that move to ask her. And be like, hey, we've been talking for this long. We feel like we want to be in a relationship. You want to move in with me? Do you want to?
Yeah.
I had to make that move.
But could you imagine yourself to where, like, say you were rejected a few times,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes, like, through some of the rejections, you're like, yeah, I'm never going to meet women again, and then, like, 3 days later, you get over it, right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine at some point where you just said, you know what, I am done with women. It is all their fault. They
Yeah.
are the fucking devil. I am done. To be a grown man and say, you know what, I am done with sex.
Yeah, it's fucking.
Could you imagine that?
Literally, I cannot imagine that. I have to say, I cannot.
I mean,
no way.
I mean, that's my point, and that's what LP and everybody in this fucking chat have done. They've gotten to that
True,
point.
man. It's like I was talking
insane.
earlier about the MGTOW guys when I used to watch those guys. These are guys in their 40s, 50s who have been, they got divorced and now they hate women. Now they don't want anything to do with women. All women are the same. They all want to manipulate you, take your money. It's like, what? Nowhere in life is things like that. Even with animals, no two animals that are the same species are the same. We have huge variety of personality and ideas and thoughts, and it's strange to blanket people like that.
You know what's funny is you brought up animals. Like if what we're seeing here happened in, like, say, like the race of, like, wildebeest or whatever. You had this one person that says, or this one wildebeest that says, you know what, I'm done trying to mate. It's never going to happen. The others would kill him. You are no use to our
You're
pack
no
anymore.
use anymore. Get out of here. Go live by yourself in that cave. We're done with you.
Yeah, you would get shunned away, and then that thing would fucking wither, rot, and die, and then damn vultures would eat it.
Mm-hmm. But isn't it so funny that nobody has an explanation as to why these things are degenerate? Nobody has an explanation. Nobody in the chat gave a reason. LP couldn't give a reason. How many times did David ask him, and he said, I don't know. I just think that it is. And it's like, what? That's not an answer, dude. You have this really strong idea of something, and you have no explanation for it. It's ridiculous.
I don't know. I'm sitting here trying to, like, figure it out in their minds. I just can't do it.
That's why I said the only thing I could figure out is that, I'm not having sex, or I don't like or I'm jealous that all these guys are having sex with this woman. She's not having sex with me. She's a slut. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously, if she's having sex with you, you're not going to call her a slut, right? You're going to be like, oh.
Well, that's the thing. You said just that one woman, but these people can't get any women.
Yeah.
The plethora of women that there are in this world, they can't get a single one. But instead of looking in themselves and say, okay, what do I need to do to better myself?
Mm-hmm.
No, they look outward and see that the 600 women that are in my vicinity, they're all shit. They're all bad.
Yeah. I mean, look at incels. They blame guys, chads, right? Oh, look, these good-looking, tall, muscular men. They're taking all the women. Look at me, bro. I'm 5'6",
but even
5'6", 130, 125, 130 pounds. I got laid a bunch in my life. I've always been this size, and I've still got tons of laid. I'm not the greatest looking guy. I guess I would say I'm average, but I have a decent personality. I make girls laugh. They like me. It works.
Okay, but at the same time, who's to say that these good looking muscular dudes that are driving vets and shit? Who's to say they're getting laid?
That's true too. You don't know
because
that.
if they don't have the right attitude, man, or the right confidence, that women gonna sniff that shit out.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna sniff that out quick.
Exactly, and I know from experience that not all women like the same kind of dude. I've known girls who don't like guys with muscles. Yeah, I've known many girls who've been like, "Oh, muscles are gross." Like, oh, all right.
I mean, it gets to a point where, working on your body, being clean cut and things like that does work, but it still comes down to confidence and attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell these fuckers in that chat did not have any of that.
No, they don't have that. They don't know how to talk to them.
I mean, I used to get pissed off at like the ugly fat dude landing all these chicks.
Yeah, dude, that's happened. I've seen these ugly fat dudes with some hot ass chicks before, and it's like, how the fuck did he get that? Like, there's no fucking way.
The only way is they got a good attitude. They treat her right.
They got a good either that or they got money.
Right. but even then, the attitude's got to be there first. Even with the money, the attitude's got to be there.
Yeah, it's true, man. You got to have the right. You got to have a personality. You got to be confident, man. You got to be confident. You have to be able to accept rejection. Those are the two very most important things about it, And don't be creepy. It's not that hard. Don't be a fucking creep. That's like one of the biggest things you need is to not be a creep.
I mean, yeah, some chick is definitely going to go fuck a guy online by the name of Dead Rising.
Yeah, exactly. Or Anal Centipede. Whoa, Steven, thank you again, man. Alf, would you ride 4 hours on a bicycle for a BJ? I have to be honest here.
Dude, back in the day, yes.
Yeah, back in the day. Well, it would have been my skateboard because I have to be honest here. I don't know how to ride a bicycle. I've never been into them. I've always rode skateboards since I was a kid. So I wouldn't do that. But yeah, I would ride my skateboard 4 hours for a BJ for sure. Why not? Yeah, maybe back in the day. Now I might be a little too lazy because it's not that hard to get a BJ. Like, I don't need to go 4 hours for that. Another good point to hit is, you remember when Devin used to do the Virgin Chronicles and he would talk to those virgins? Yeah. How often were those guys very picky about the women they wanted to have sex with for the first time? Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were very picky. Dude. They want that right one. This is exactly what I'm talking about when I was talking about LP. Yeah. They're making a very rigid standard for the way they want women to be. If you think that's gonna get you laid, you're wrong, because all you're doing is dropping your pool to almost zero. You know what I'm saying? How are you gonna get laid like that?
To their credit, at least they didn't get to the point of that's it, I'm done trying.
Yeah, that's true.
At least they say, you know what? There's a guy that's actually willing to help. Let me talk.
Yeah, it's true. And all of those guys were seeking help, and that's the first step. That is really the first step there. Jamie said.
Even then, he's still.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, and then I'll read what Jamie said.
No, even then, still, Devin is still talking about, hey, what kind of hobbies you have, what interests you have, because that develops, your personality as well, develops your attitude.
Mm-hmm. It does. Jamie said, I'd rather party and go home with a guy like Alf than a big gym rat obsessed with his looks. Yeah.
Yeah.
The same in reverse with women too. I'd rather go home with just like an average chick than go home with a chick who's like obsessed with the way they look and putting on all this makeup and stuff like that. I really like homely chicks, like just very normal girls.
I mean, even then, for women, it's attitude as well.
Yeah,
personality. How many times have we come across a chick that is just smoking hot, and all of a sudden she opens her fucking mouth, and then she becomes ugly?
Yeah,
just by the shit she says. It's like, God, you're not good looking anymore.
We're guys, so we have a different thought of this as women. But like when you find that hot chick and they're completely annoying when they open their mouth, those are the chicks you just want to bang and leave, right? Like I'm pumping up, But when you find a girl and she opens her mouth and you laugh and you enjoy her talking and stuff, that's the kind of woman you want to take home and stay with,
Exactly.
And that level changes how they look or their looks, like the better their personality is, the less I don't want to say less attractive they have to be, but it doesn't really make them less attractive. It makes them more attractive, right? But it's less of what the stereotypical of what we say attractive would be, you know what I'm saying? But the hotter you are and you have a shitty personality, the uglier you end up being,
Yeah.
And then you're just a cocksock.
I mean, I've seen some girls, they get hotter because of their attitude. Like all of a sudden they're just that more attractive.
Oh, one of the most important things about women is how they carry themselves. That is, to me, that is one of the way, and it comes down to even the smallest things, their gestures, the way they walk, the way they smile, their reactions to what you say or how they handle situations. That those are things that are one of the most important things about attraction. And I think that goes vice versa as well, right? With either way.
That's another deal with these incels, is they only see girls one way.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to say, maybe this chick is different, start talking with everything, and hey, maybe she's not like the rest of them.
Yeah.
Maybe this one's got her own deal, her own interests.
Yes.
If they're looking at them all the same as all women want to just ruin you, they all want to burn you, that they're going to be stuck in this fucking, I don't even know what you call it. Because it's not a rut, because with a rut, you don't put yourself in a rut.
Yeah.
It's
true.
They're not trying to dig themselves out of the rut either.
But it's also a thing of insecurities. Like, people don't realize this, but they wear their insecurities on their sleeves. People are never self-aware about that. And that goes with what Grant was saying about being confident. You might think you're being confident, but if you have all these insecurities, you're showing those. You don't notice you're showing those, but you're showing those, man. Yeah. People can read that on you. They could smell it off you easily, man. You need to drop your insecurities and actually be confident. It's true. Let's.
Sometimes your insecurities make you a better person.
Yeah.
Working
through those would definitely make you a better person, for sure.
Yeah, or you can meet the chick that where she's understanding of everything, and she knows that you're dealing with these kind of things, and you never know, this chick might help you out.
Yeah, that's
there might be that kind of person.
Yeah, there's no better way to gain confidence than to have a woman by you. You know what I'm saying? To have a woman on your arm, that definitely gives you confidence.
But
and a woman,
they won't know if they're thinking every woman is the devil.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big problem.
I mean, they automatically think that every woman's a slut. Every woman's out to fucking gold dig. Every woman's out. No, you just met some shit women. There's more out there.
Yeah. Like Jamie said, all the hot people from high school are losers and emotionally still cool seniors. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. You're right, because I still live in the area of where I went to school, and it's true. A lot of the people who are popular and super hot in high school are now balding, fat, not accepting their balding. They're not working on not being fat, and and not doing anything to make themselves better. They're just kind of stuck in their old days and thinking that they're still as awesome as they were back then.
You ever run into that chick in high school that you really wanted to get, but never did, and then you run into her like 15 years later, and she's fucking busted, and you're like, I'm glad I didn't end up with that one.
It's something I never thought. Damn, that chick got turned out. She's gross. Never in my life have I thought that.
No.
It's so weird.
Dude, like I said earlier, when he said, I don't want my daughter getting turned out.
Yeah,
like, dude. How deep are you thinking into this?
That's the it exposes what his issue is. You're seeing it right there.
He's thinking the absolute worst.
Yeah, exactly. He's thinking the worst of this.
And And I mean, I don't mean to talk about his relationship with his daughter or anything, but stuff like that, it would really push her away. It really would. If you're that overbearing to the point, I mean, he said he wouldn't do it, but if you're overbearing to the point where anytime your daughter has a doctor's appointment, hey doc, could you check up there and make sure everything's intact? After a while, your dog's gonna be like, fuck you, pops. I can't wait to get the fuck out.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. What do you think T.I.'s daughter's going to do? She's 18 now. You know what she's going to do? She's going to get a job. And the second she moves out, she's going to be inviting dudes over all the time to her apartment.
I mean,
looking to get laid.
The thing is, teenage girls and boys, they're going to fuck. That's the way of life. That's an animal instinct. We fuck. And, to the point where you're trying to inhibit that and try to put basically a chastity belt on something like that. That's like when Bristol Palin was going to the South and teaching abstinence in all the high schools.
Yeah.
To the place where, abstinence didn't work. You had more teenage pregnancies than anything else.
I mean, like me and you, Grant, we're older. We've had a lot of experience. How many times have we seen that making things taboo make people want to do them? Right? We've seen it a lot.
That's what we grew up doing.
Yeah, exactly. That was my life.
We were told that heavy metal and punk music was not good music. It was not to be listened to. It was of the devil and shit like that. We fell right into it. We did it because we were told not to.
Yeah, exactly. I grew up doing everything opposite of what my parents told me. Basically, and I would go out and do all the things they said.
I mean, I was pretty fortunate with my mother. She didn't press or anything. She says, "Look, I know you're out there. I know what you're doing, but just be careful."
Yep.
And that's all she said.
That's what I'm saying.
Just be careful.
The main thing is not to tell your kids not to have sex. Tell your kids. Yeah. You could tell them not to, but tell your kids why. Tell your kids how to be responsible if they're going to do it. These things are very important. Teach your kids what it is. What sex is. What are the dangers of it? Because you don't want your kids getting STDs or getting pregnant.
And at the same time, LP's daughter could grow up and look back. Hey, my dad had a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Let me look back and see what that was all about.
Oh my God, my dad's a fucking incel. My dad's a big towel. Oh, gross.
I mean that could turn out so bad. Mm-hmm. I made the joke in the chat earlier. I said, trying to keep girls off the pole will actually push them towards the pole to pay for nursing school.
Yeah, it happens a lot, man. I've known many strippers, and I'll tell you, most of them had daddy issues. Either their parents were way too strict, or they weren't, or they were very negligent, and they weren't around. They would let them do whatever they want. There's a balance to raising your parents, to raising your kids. You can't ignore them, and you can't be too up their ass. You know what I'm saying? There's a balance in the middle that you have to reach. You have to educate them, and you have to let them make their own mistakes and shit like that. And I don't have kids, so I shouldn't be talking, but I've seen it so many times because I have so many friends with kids. I have nieces and nephews and shit. So I've seen it.
You're right.
Times.
You can't be overbearing. You can still be a parent, and at the same time you could be the cool parent. You can still do that.
But regardless, your kids are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to make their own mistakes. The best thing you could do is teach them how to learn from their mistakes, or how to make the better mistakes, instead of the worst ones. Yeah. For that.
Well, you teach them self-respect, don't you?
Yeah.
That's the real. That's what you do.
Yeah, lower them a little bit. Came in loud, Steve. But you got to teach your kids all types of things. That's the problem with. I see a lot when I was working in Miami. I was working in a very rich area, and I noticed that these people were just leaving their kids to nannies, to schools. I worked at a Blockbuster. They would come in and rent stacks of movies so that they could put them in front of a TV and leave their kid just watching stuff all day. But it's like, you got to spend time with your kids. You can't just leave it to the public school system or a private school to teach your kids. There's things that they're not going to teach them that are very important, in life. Like Steve said, self-respect, or, being responsible, not getting in trouble, shit like that. They don't teach you that shit in school. That's the stuff.
Speaking of self-respect, what's the most trouble you ever went to get sex, to get laid?
Oh, I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going into that, man. I've had so many.
You didn't ride your skateboard for 4 hours.
No.
That would be a lot. That's how far can you get in 4 hours? I don't know, man.
I don't know.
You get all the way probably all the way across New Jersey.
No. Yeah, I don't know if you saw earlier. Alf. That's what I had posted in the chat because I have a friend that rode his BMX literally down Northern Ontario Highway where the speed limit's like 60 miles an hour. He rode like what would be normally like 20 to 15, I guess 15 to 20 minute car ride on his BMX to go get a BJ from a chick he knew that offered it to him. And this was in the days of telephones. This was not text. She was like, "Come see me right now, and I'll do it." And he couldn't get his parents to drive.
Wait, let me guess. He was 16 years old.
I think he was 17. If I got this correct.
About the shit.
Okay.
Hey, if that works.
When I was 17 years old, I would have ridden.
Oh hell yeah,
12 hours for.
Yeah, I would have done whatever I could.
You know how many high fives you would have gotten when you came back from doing that?
Yep. Oh, Chance gave me $5. Thanks, Chance. I appreciate it, man. Very good. He said cheers.
He tells me he still remembers like transports honking at him on the side of the road.
Yeah, all you gotta say is look at the truck and go, "Hey, man, I'm going to get laid. Leave me alone." That dude might have given him a ride, but like, "Yeah, hop in, man. I'll get you there."
I know, right?
Fucking hitch a ride in the back. Just grab onto the back on your bike, and I'll take you there, man.
No, but these jokers in LP's chat to me like, "Nah, I don't want to deal with that degeneracy with that woman."
That's degenerate. I can't believe it's so hard for me to grasp the concept that there's so many people
I can't do it.
think that sex is degenerate
How
now.
can she be so dirty? You
Yeah,
know?
it's
She must be all worn out. I don't want to go there.
See, that's another problem that these guys are thinking. They're thinking that they can find a chick that they can do something to a chick that hasn't been done to them already.
Yeah.
That's you're not going to rock some girl's world. It's not going to happen. Especially the older you get, you're going to realize that you're not going to find that chick.
And in fact, I brought up the point earlier, and I still stand by it, that I think that a person who has been with less partners are probably going to be looking for someone else down the line after they get married. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody wants to have experiences. Everybody wants to experience certain things. If you're getting married right after high school, you've only been with one dude. Those women are going to be like, this guy only can do this, go so far, can only take me so far. You're going to be looking at those other dudes that are like, oh, this guy could take me further. He could do more to me. This guy has experience,
It's also the ultimate sign, like when they want these like pure women, it's the ultimate sign that they have no confidence because they don't want them to have anything to compare to, like
Bingo.
What I'm going to do to you.
Right. Yeah, that's why they want a virgin because they're insecure.
Yeah.
About their own abilities.
Yeah.
This actually brings me to another point. The people that they talk about wanting to save sex for marriage and all that shit. My uncle gave me advice when I was a kid. He's like, dude. Don't ever marry a chick unless you've lived with her for a couple of years. Because if you're one of those people that want to save everything till marriage, you haven't gotten to know the chick, and now you're married to her.
Yeah, that could really backfire on you. Yeah, you could end up not knowing the person, and then
what if
all this effort saving the purity to be screwed in the end.
Yeah, that was the point where I was saying LP missed a huge thing by showing that stat. And he missed a huge problem there. He's looking at, you should have less partners, your marriage will be happier. But he didn't look at how low the rates were for the happy marriages. That is the problem.
He conveniently scrolled past that.
Yeah, that is the major problem. The happiest were at like 68%. That's low as fuck. You know what I'm saying? That's the major problem. Maybe the problem is people getting married too early, or people rushing to get married and not thinking it through.
I mean, you brought it up earlier. The difference in percentages is like what, 4 to 5 to 6, maybe.
It's negligible.
Not enough to really, make a huge difference. But he saw that and he's like, yeah, I'm rolling with that. Mm-hmm. And it's like, dude, if you take that and just, number one, it's a survey like I mentioned in the chat. It's a survey like you would do on Family Feud. Yeah. It's all about people's answers.
Yeah.
How many people are going to say, I've been married this many years. I've only had one partner and I'm happy, but deep down inside, they're fucking miserable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they'll even lie on a survey to maintain
Bingo.
That, balance.
So to take that little stat or that wherever he got that, to take that and use that as the end all be all to his argument, it's really weak.
It's a classic argument I make that social sciences is like basically an oxymoron.
Mm-hmm. On the one part that really made me laugh was the percentage of people who had only been with 2 partners and the people who had been with 10 partners were only 1% apart. Like, I was like, oh, so it's like you either should have 2 partners or 10 partners, like, and you'll be happy.
See, see, when it comes to
don't be in between. If you're at like 5 or 6, you need more. You need to bang more people to be happy.
It's hard. Call me then.
Yeah.
You know,
it's hard to come up with
long-term marriages, the older long-term marriages. How many of these marriages were just torture?
Yeah,
people were felt enslaved to one another and just
and
tortured each other all their lives. And that's why the divorce rate rose when it became easier to get divorces. People wanted to get divorced for all those years. And
finally, they finally were able to. Yeah.
Well, and then you got to think about
divorce story.
Rob. Wait, Grant was talking. Was waiting to talk.
And you got to think.
So sorry.
You got to think when somebody's, they do these surveys of like what they just grab people walking down the street or whatever, and say they have a person, right? They've been married for 10 years, and they just happen to be walking down the street right after that person and their spouse got into an argument.
Yeah.
What do you think that person's going to say immediately answering that question? They're going to, they're not going to mention that they just got in an argument. They'll just say, well, no, I'm not happy, but we've been married for 10 years. And then they'll write that down. Something like that. Stuff like this, when you're asking random people about their marriages and how many partners they have, you're not going to get something that's like set in stone fucking stat. This is all, what people are telling you. This is basically opinion, really. It's for him to dig like that just to find that tells you that's confirmation bias.
Yeah,
immediately.
100%. It's fucking crazy that he doesn't see that. And then I was gonna say, it's like with the whole counterculture thing, like what Steve was saying, in the 50s, you were shamed for getting divorced. You were shamed for having sex. You were shamed for dressing certain ways. You know what I'm saying? And those are the things that led to the sexual revolution. If it wasn't for those things, that wouldn't have happened in the 60s where, we had the free sex movement. It happened because of the sexual repression of the 50s. These people don't even see that, and they want to bring back those 50s sexual repressive culture that's just going to lead to a worse sexual revolution,
Yeah, going back to the porch atheists that want this Christian pillars of society, they only look back so far. They only look back to when it was great. They don't see what happened beforehand to lead that point. They don't see what happened
because it's confirmation bias, right? They only want to look at the parts that proves them right.
So they want to go back to the 50s. Which is fine. And then when they talk about how great Christianity was, they don't want to go back to before the Enlightenment.
Yeah.
What's so great about the 50s anyway? Fucking everyone voted for Eisenhower. No,
the 50s weren't that great. It just looks great. You know what I'm saying? When you look back and
we had a huge war in the 50s.
Yeah, you see it in black and white.
Yeah, you see it in black and white. You see everything. You see like Leave It to Beaver.
All you see is like
so happy.
Leave It to Beaver, My Three Sons. That's all you saw.
Happy nuclear family. But the truth was, they were fucking repressed. They were in relationships they hated. They were stuck together. You know what I'm saying? And nobody sees that men were beating their wives at a higher rate than, it was
just think, man, you had separate beds in the bedroom at that time. And that's what these motherfuckers want.
That was very common.
That's what they want. My grandparents who are in their 80s and 90s, they're in separate rooms.
Yeah. Holy shit.
And they've been bickering at each other for years.
That's what I'm saying.
Somehow they stayed together, but they bickered and fight with each other for years. And it's like, at some point, I want to ask them, like, are you really that happy, or are you just like fighting?
Yeah. What it is they're so used to it because they've done it for so many decades that they can't see life any other way.
But they didn't fucking cower to rejection before they got me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My grandfather didn't say, "Oh, I'm done with women."
Yeah, he never said that shit.
Yeah.
This is a great stream that's going on. There's only 12 people watching, though.
It happens. It's cool. I did get a few super chats, so that works out. 12 people. It's all about the quality of your audience, not the quantity.
I was going to say earlier, before I cut Grant off there, my grandparents on my stepdad's side divorced after 50 years of marriage.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that happens. Yeah. I've known people whose grandparents got divorced.
That goes right along with what I said. What if the people doing the survey asked your grandparents, 20 years ago, how things were?
Exactly.
What would you say your marriage is like now, and how many partners did you have beforehand? But then they go to interview him now, it's a completely different story.
Yeah, how many people were surveyed that gave a high rate of happiness in that survey are still together now? You know what I'm saying?
And I immediately thought of fucking Family Feud.
Yeah.
We surveyed 100 people and asked, and you had all the fucking answers up on the board. That's what this survey looked like. And that's what it was. It was a survey. It wasn't like, actual like set in stone fucking stats.
Look at the chats. Hashtag, it will be hashtag free the labia.
Yeah, that's the next revolution.
Yeah, we had free the nipple, now we're free the labia.
The next one, huh?
I can't wait for that.
I brought up the thing earlier, with this line of thinking that these dudes are doing, you wonder why fucking FGM is a thing in Islam.
Yeah.
Because these people think like that.
That's the problem.
So,
these guys,
with everything that's wrong, it's got to be the woman and whatever. So let's go ahead and cut off the clit so she doesn't feel anything there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying these incels are going to lead to that, but I mean, it's that line of thinking.
Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny how a lot of these people are so anti-Islam, like Paul Joseph Watson and stuff, but then they act the same way, like they're completely like those girls twerking, right? They're like, oh, these girls aren't being modest.
They're afraid of sensuality.
Yeah,
they're afraid of sensuality.
100%. These guys who act like
and that's usually based in religion.
Mm-hmm. They can't get rid of
Silverman was totally right when he answered with that. It's religious based.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, obviously that's what the burqa is about.
Yes.
They're afraid of their own sexuality. They're afraid of seeing women and then lusting after them. But really, it's not the irony of it.
And you know what's funny, when Paul Joseph Watson made those tweets of this is why the terrorists hate us and shit like that, I didn't see not one person go, yes, exactly, good.
No, everybody jumped on him for that.
I want them to hate us for this. This is great.
Yeah, that's what I responded with. I was like, good. That's all I wrote.
Is there something biological about conservative people and liberal-minded people, that conservatives are just hardwired to be?
I don't think so. I think it's more nurture.
To be challenged by sexuality, to be repulsed by the physicality of it.
I don't think it's biological. I think it's just upbringing. Yeah. Because I grew up in a largely conservative. I'm like one of the 3 liberals in my family, and I've watched going back 4 generations. I've seen how the result of what they were raised by, and obviously luckily I'm in a different time than what they were, but no, it's not biologically. It's what you're instilled as a child.
I think nowadays it's a lot of this internet culture shit that's going around where they're saying, sex is leading to the fall of Western civilization.
Who even thinks that?
Is nurture? It's definitely nurture more than nature.
Yeah.
And then what LP was saying. Oh, you send your girls to college. They're going to get laid a lot, and then they're going to come back as Marxists and be unhappy.
Yeah, be depressed and be in debt. It's like,
I would be much happier if my daughter came back as like a sexualized Marxist than if she came back as a freaking Christian. Stuck up. Afraid of sex, afraid of her own body. Going to have an unhappy marriage and then be abused by her husband or shit. Yeah, come on.
These are like 2 or 3 different things, completely different things that he brought up, and somehow he was trying to lump them all together.
Yep.
It was like incel at the gaps or some shit.
It's all part of the same thing, mind,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like incel at the gaps, I can't figure out the gap. I can't link them together, but they're going to be linked together because I want them to. Incel at the gaps.
That's what made me laugh the most was when he said, I don't know, when he asked him why. It was like, what? How do you not know?
Teenage sexuality mixed up with college debt, mixed up with a political leaning, far left. Mm-hmm. Somehow he's linking all that together.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to tell me that there aren't right-leaning people that didn't go buck wild in college? I mean, come on.
I don't get it, man. I don't get these people's mentality.
It's
like with LP, and I think he's gotten worse. Like I don't think he was like. I remember when I used to talk to him. I didn't talk to him a lot. Like I don't know him a lot, but when I talked to him before, he still kind of had that, but it wasn't as as hardcore. You know, like it seems like he's getting worse and worse as time goes on.
The first time I came across,
Yeah.
the first time I came across LP was is back when David, the Penguin, and Esau were doing the fake podcast, and they were doing something about you know, the MGTOWs or MRAs or whatever, and LP showed up in the chat, and he's you know, started making his case for you know for both actually, and they invited him on to a follow-up show. I think it was like a week later he came on, and that's when I started noticing about him. I was like, this dude sounds like he's got issues with women, because he did bring up some legit shit about you know, usually like when you go into custody battles and shit like that, usually majority of the time the judge is going to side with you know, the mother, and usually that is the case. But then he was bringing up some other shit. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it just like the way he made it sound.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, wait a minute, this dude. I started kind of asking the question to myself of like, did this guy get burned at one time? Did he like not take rejection pretty well? You know, because I didn't know nothing about him at the time except for that.
Yeah. But I mean, from the whole time I've known him, it's like all of his videos have been about women. It's like he's obsessed with female behavior, and it's like, why? Like, I don't give a shit what women do. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Unless I know them, unless they're my friend or something, or I'm trying to be with them, then what do I give a fuck what a chick does? You know? Do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
I don't want people telling me what to do, you know, or how to be.
I mean, it's you know, it's these type of repressed people that like look at like the mass shootings that had to do with like you know, some of that alt-right bullshit, right?
Yeah.
You know, the one in New Zealand and I can't remember the other places. I think it was like the last 3 or 4 that were like that. How much you want to bet that if those guys would have just fucked one single female, people would still be alive?
Oh yeah, for sure. Look at the one with Elliot Rodgers. His whole point was that he couldn't relate. That was the whole reason he shot a bunch of people. And there's been multiple incels after that. And
Elliot Rodgers was actually a prime example of, you know, no matter how good you look or, you know, what you do. The dude was a good looking guy. He drove a fucking BMW, right?
Yeah, he was rich.
But I bet his attitude was shit.
Yeah, I bet he was creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
I bet that's
all he had to do was change his attitude, change his personality, better himself like that, and he'd have been fine.
Maybe grow up a little. He didn't even give himself a chance. He was still a young dude.
Yeah.
Maybe if he grew up a little, he would have been better. But I'm gonna end this stream, but we can keep talking after. Let me end it. Thanks a lot for coming, guys. Thanks for the super chats. You know, maybe I'll do another stream talk about this if you guys enjoyed it. But thanks for coming.
All right, man. Thanks. Fun. Bye bye.
Yeah, thanks for you guys.